attendance. Thank you for everybody coming. The library is a new place, and so we're working through some growing pains, but we'll figure it out. The Open Meetings Act poster is over there on the wall. Notices were placed at the village office, the post office, the Nancy Fawcett Library, and we haven't got it on the library, or on the website yet. Nope, so we don't have it on there. The board reserves the right to enter into closed session if deemed necessary for any items on the agenda per section 84-1410 of Nebraska revised statutes. Community comments. Citizens wishing to speak on a topic may comment at this point. The Board of Trustees cannot discuss or act on these matters. There is a 5-minute time limit. Anybody wishing to speak can stand up.
I would just like to give the board the $110 that LCF made from pre-roll donations for the t-shirts.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, Susan?
I would like to start by saying I have lived in Lodgepole since 2000. Oh, you need my name and address.
Please.
Susan Oman, 1048 Orchard, Lodgepole, Nebraska. I'd like to start by saying I've lived in Lodgepole since 2008, and I have never been so disappointed to say I live here as I am right now. I am appalled at the behavior and actions of this board, and I believe the actions are unethical, disrespectful, and teeter on illegal. I feel the board owes the village, and especially Steve and Cindy, a public apology for the humiliation it has caused. Any citizen is allowed to exercise their right to ask for FOIA requests without being called out and publicly humiliated. I also think this board needs to figure out exactly what the job and responsibilities are of a board member. They are not a city manager. Yet it seems everyone wants to be the city manager, but with 5 different agendas, and everyone wanting to micromanage for their agenda. There are at least 2 members of this board that in my 2 years of attending meetings, I've never seen them in any of the meetings. They plead innocent, but think they can make decisions about this village. Unless you have read minutes of every meeting for at least the last 2 years, how can you presumably think you can have the knowledge to make informed decisions? And yet, here we are in the biggest mess we've been in years. Maybe some of you need to look in at yourselves and determine maybe you are in over your heads and cause this village any more humiliation and step down. Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Rita Bartling, 728 Union Street, Lodgepole. On the May 6, 2025 meeting, it indicated that the vision closet at the PAC was inventory, pictures were taken. It was stated that a contract would be drawn up to clarify and identify all items given to the entity. As of today's date, September 2nd, 2025, Visions has never seen or been contacted about the contract.
Bill. Please.
We're gonna lighten it up a little bit, guys. It's too serious in here. We're talking on the Old Sellers Committee. Casey's gonna read a statement. I'm gonna thank everybody for helping out.
And you all know how much I love to speak in public.
That's why he's doing it.
On behalf of the Old Settlers Committee, we would like to sincerely thank the Village Board for your support during this Old Settlers reunion. Your dedication and willingness to step up played a major role in the making of the celebration a success. We also want to recognize your hard work that you've been addressing in the past challenges, working towards a positive change for our community, and it does not go unnoticed. The time and the effort that you invest into improve the village and keep moving forward shows true commitment and leadership. I am truly appreciative of all the extra work that Aorongi has put in. He has spent countless hours mowing, running the weed whacker, cleaning bathrooms, and taking so many other taskless, thankless jobs that often go unseen. That kind of dedication makes a huge difference, and we are grateful for it, so thank you, Al. A special thank you also goes to Preston Richards, for the many years of extra help and always going above and beyond for making Old Settlers an amazing event. His ongoing support has been instrumental in keeping this tradition alive and thriving. This year I was especially proud to see all of the board members at least one event or another throughout the weekend. It meant a lot to seeing that level of presence and commitment, and shows that the board is willing to help and make changes to better the community. As a token of our appreciation, I would like to present a small award to Al and to Preston for their continued support and dedication. Your efforts are making a real difference, and we deeply appreciate the pride that you take in making Lodgepole not just a place to live, but a place that we are all proud to call home. So here's a little plaque for you. Stand for it. And for Preston as well. Just a
Thank you.
appreciation. Thank you all.
Cindy?
I wish I would have stood up sooner, but I just wanted to commend the Old Settlers Committee for a great job. Those guys they're probably talking about next, Old Settlers Days, and I don't know where they get all their energy, but, it was fantastic, and they have to compete with Sedgwick as their Labor Day celebration, and there was things going on in Oshkosh plus Potter Day, so I think, Old Settlers Committee did a fantastic job.
Anybody else? Okay. Moving on, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion? Al, motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second. Roll call Dykeman,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Rungy, Wilkins.
Yes.
Okay, discussion and action on filling the board vacancy. We have two people with letters of interest.
So at this point, there's the chairperson that needs to nominate the person, and then the rest of the board votes.
Okay, I nominate Ken Kepler.
Any discussion?
We can discuss it, or we can just go on to vote either way.
I think it's kind of important because it's kind of important, we got two, right? Maybe, I don't know, is it okay if we hear from them, if they're here, and would like to say something?
Yep.
Possibly, because I'd like to
They're
hear
both
from
here,
them.
Ken's here and
From
Glenn's
both,
here.
right?
I'm Ken Kepler, 532 Bates Boulevard, and I'd like to open it up to the board. What questions would you like to ask me? What would you like to know?
One thing comes to mind is, what's your number one reason for wanting to be part?
To make a difference in this community. I want to see this community grow and thrive, but do it pragmatically, correctly, and decently. I believe that the interest of the entire village should be paramount over any opinions, wants, needs, gripes, complaints of a select few. That we either thrive as a village or we fail as a village.
little bit more about yourself?
I was born in Bridgeport. I grew up in Chapel. I graduated from Chapel High School in 1978. Then I went off to play in the Air Force. I got out in Denver, and I spent the next 40 years honing my skills in customer service and management. And I took 15 years and I was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. I've done everything from being the chief cook and bottle washer to the CEO. I'm not afraid to do any of it. And one thing that I have learned is that you don't look down your nose at anybody. The janitor or the person that cleans the toilets is just as important and should be respected as much as that CEO. And if you're gonna hobnob with the CEO or brown nose him, just to further your agenda, I've got no time for you. I'm honest, I'm transparent, and I don't just say that. If you have a question, ask. If you have a problem with me, let's talk about it. Anything from anybody in here?
I do, sir.
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
keep your political views out of your judgment with people living in this small community?
I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Klingon. I don't care what your political
But you can keep that
affiliation
out
is.
of, you can keep that out of your ruling and your opinions as far as running this community.
Absolutely.
Good to know.
Next. Anyone? Anyone, anything?
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Every, there's an elephant in the room, everybody knows that there's an issue right now, in this community. Do you have any preconceived ideas of what's going on?
I don't know enough about the situation going on.
Okay.
I know there's two sides to every issue, and I don't know enough to render a judgment, and I'm no one's judge.
And are you in any way, not related, but do you have a friendship on the board with anybody?
No. I know people on the board,
Yeah, sure.
but other than that, no different than anyone else in this room.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate your answers.
Yes, ma'am. And this is exactly what you're gonna get. If you ask a question and I give you an answer, it may not be the answer that you want, but it's gonna be the honest answer. Anyone else? Please, I kinda like this. And with there being 318 of us in this village, we shouldn't have situations like this. We shouldn't have 10% of the people in the village doing 90% of the work. And we shouldn't have, excuse my language, but a pissing contest, because we all have one thing in common. We all live here and we want to see the best in Lodgepole. And if that's not what you're looking for, if you don't want to see this community thrive, then I invite you to go someplace else. Sorry to get on my soapbox.
I appreciate you throwing your head and wanting to participate. I do.
Anyone else? Thank you, board.
needs help with the finances and figuring out who works and getting our books in order. I know we're a couple of years, well, I don't know what's going on with last year's audit. And I felt if the only way I can help with getting those books figured out is to join the board, that would be an option. I would also throw in my resume and references to volunteer to help the village with those books. I would support Ken being on the board. I know he's new, he has some great ideas, he's an honest guy. I would much rather help with the village finances. I felt I needed to, possibly, I wouldn't be entertained as helping with that if I wasn't on the board.
How long have you lived in the community, Gwen?
I don't know, my kids were 12 and 11 when we moved here, and they're 45 and 44 now, so 30+ years.
And you're also the head of the FC,
LCF?
yeah, LCF, and have done a lot of good things financially for the community. Yeah, you were the one that found the program, right?
Yes, with
Yeah,
the help
with
of
Janet.
Visions. Visions wanted to take it up a step, and they asked Bill Taylor and I to go out and find an option, and we went out with that, Nebraska Community Foundation.
And your educational background is in accounting, is that correct?
Yes, I have an accounting degree from Regis University.
Okay.
Anybody else have a question for me?
What's the name of that big dog?
Kodak.
Sorry.
When, I know the big priority, and I agree, is the financial side, and get the system, it's a really important factor, so you can make good decisions. Do you think that, would you rather do it as a volunteer than having to be on the board?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's going to be a slow process and a slow start. Because I think right now, you're gonna have to take it one account at a time, possibly one GL account at a time to get balance.
I nominate Ken Kessler.
All right. Roll call, Dykeman,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Grundy, Wilkins.
Yes.
All right,
Ken?
well, come on over here and I will administer an oath. One follow along with it. Start here. I, Ken Kepler,
I, Ken Kepler,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
That I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
and without mental reservation
and without mental reservation
or for the purpose of evasion.
or for the purpose of evasion,
And that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties
of the office of the Village of Lodgepole Board of Trustees,
of the office of the
Village of Lodgepole,
Village of Lodgepole Board of Trustees
according to law,
according to law
to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
And I do further swear that I do not advocate,
And I do further swear that I do not advocate,
nor am I a member of any political party or organization
nor am I a member of any political party or organization
that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence.
that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence,
and that during such time as I am in this position,
and that during such time as I am in this position,
I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization
I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization
that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state,
that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state
by force or violence, so help me God.
by force or violence, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you have a folder down there at the end, that table for you, or chairs for you. And we'll try to go kind of slow so you can keep up with the packet since you haven't had a chance to read it. Okay, the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Hold on a second.
Oh, sorry.
Now we have to have a new roll call.
Oh, okay.
Dykeman.
Here.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Runge. Wilkins.
Here.
Kepler.
Here.
The Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendations for PID lots 170050904 and pasture of road 147 and road 22, and PID number 170050033, 221 road 147, and lots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, block 4, Oberfelder's First Edition, which is the corner of Latham Street and Cleveland Street. Chairman of the Planning and Zoning, can you please tell us your recommendation?
Yep, recommendation
Your name,
for
I'm sorry.
Keith Mitchell.
Thank you.
Second.
These two minutes? No, this is. This is just to explain. And this is. And the other one is for this. Sorry. He's gonna tell us the recommendation and explain this.
All right. The Planning and Zoning's recommendation for PID number 170050904 to agricultural. To agricultural. And number 170050033 to industrial. And also separate, it's lots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, block 4, Overfelder's First Edition, and replat as requested.
Industrial, you said?
No, that one was to have, to replat that one.
So that's for
Yep,
replat.
that's replat.
And to approve the requested replat.
Yep.
Okay,
Is
in
the-
our packet,
Is the replat part of number 10, or is that separate?
well, that's, number 10 is just getting our requests on
Number
this.
15 is the replat.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
where I'm, yep.
Now, this is you guys got two maps in your packet. This one is the map from like 2022. This map is our current map, so all you can see. These are our two maps. These, the two that we're currently looking at, not the replat, but the zoning, those properties have never been zoned. They're out here on this out here. Out here in this white spot. They've never been zoned, so we're having to zone them because they have not been zoned. That's why we're doing this. Corey Frost, when we had the planning and zoning, was shocked that they were never zoned. Even he was shocked that, and he's been on the planning and zoning, I don't even know how long. That's how come this came up, because they were never zoned, it was, so,
Prior to you guys owning it, what was it?
it wasn't zoned,
I get it, but what was on there? That building was on there.
yes. Yeah.
Was it a resident,
So-
somebody living there, or what?
No,
I got a question.
hold on, I gotta proceed here. I need to open up the public hearing on PID number 1700509004, which is the Pasture Road 147 and Road 22, to either agriculture, commercial, industrial, or other. And I'm opening that up at 5:56. 5:56. Okay, yes, Eric, what's your question?
So, my question was, I was a little confused on it. I went to the county assessors and asked them to pull me up a print and see what it was listed under. They told me that it was under, private, or a single family occupancy, and they told me which is residential at the county assessor. That it's zoned residential.
No, it's assessed as residential, it's not zoned.
Okay.
Right now, it's not zoned, it is assessed.
Okay.
There's a big difference.
Okay.
And I put that in your packets too, there's a whole bunch of that in there, there should be an email from Jordan dated, Jordan Hyack, dated June 16th. I ran into that when we moved here.
Okay.
Our property out there where we live was assessed commercial, but it was zoned residential. So when we bought it, we thought it was zoned commercial, it was
Yeah.
not. So, the problem is, if it's zoned residential,
Right.
to match what it's assessed, you can't have cattle on it.
Correct. And that's what I was gonna say
Yeah,
in my next
so
thing.
that's why they're recommending, and we are thinking the same thing, it should be zoned residential so you can have cattle on it.
Agriculture.
I mean agriculture,
Agriculture.
agriculture.
Right.
So that you can have cattle.
It's been a pasture for the
Yes.
last 100
Yes.
years. as far
And
as
that's
I
what
know.
they mentioned
I
at
mean,
the
I was only here
zoning.
43, so it's.
Yes, yeah, and that's the only thing we're wanting to do. I actually emailed Jordan today to ask her, her comment to me way back when, and currently, like I said, I've talked to her off on, they assess it as what it's being used as. So I'm like, why isn't it being
Yeah,
assessed
that's
as
what I thought
agriculture
too.
because it's being used as agriculture. So, so that is the intent behind zoning it agriculture so you can use it as an agriculture
Yeah.
lot.
They said that you just had to prove that you were using it for that. Well, there's a barn and a
Yeah.
shop and a pasture.
Yeah, it's just,
So, I
yeah,
mean-
and, I provided the board with,
And chicken house.
that's what these little tabs, those small tabs, what the difference between an agriculture and what a residential lot, zone is, so that you can kind of see the difference. Because agriculture district is specifically for grazing of livestock. So,
And they did tell me if down the road, if there was any chance of developing, then you just have to go back in and switch it to residential.
yeah,
So it still can be rezoned if I ever sold it or whatever,
Yeah.
and somebody wanted to build a house on it.
and we wouldn't
So-
say no, because we'd be like, cool, we're
Yeah.
gonna build more houses.
Right.
So, yeah, so, any more questions on this PID?
I just wanna clarify, there's two different areas we're talking about, right? My question, which we'll come back to, is a different area than what you were talking about.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just wanna make
Yeah.
sure everyone's following all of this,
Yes.
cause like
So
the
you're
one
just
we're
talking
talking about
about
is his.
just
Their
areas,
days.
yes,
Their
yeah,
days.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
which makes sense, that being agricultural,
Yeah.
and that was recommended.
actually think this one doesn't actually have the barn on it, it's just. the
Right,
pasture.
there's two separate parcels. One is with the structures. It's got the house, the barn, the shop, the chicken house. And it cuts
Right behind it.
right behind that. It's a
Yeah.
weird triangle. And then the rest of it is on a separate parcel with the pasture. So there's two separate parcels there. But they say that you just have to prove that you're using both of them as agricultural. Like I said, there's a barn and shop. I think the whole thing ought to be agricultural, because my cows aren't gonna just stay on the pasture. They're gonna come up
Yeah,
to the
Well, I
lot
think
or whatever
the
to
barn
feed.
is. Barn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I know the barn's gotta come down yet. That's a whole nother issue, but
It's coming down.
it's got to. It's gonna fall down.
Anybody else has any other comments
We need to educate them cows.
Anybody else have any questions on this,
or comments?
comments?
Sorry, we're putting both of these in this conversation, like, so this public hearing is for both of these
No,
pieces?
nothing separate.
Good,
Just-
okay,
Just-
I'm like.
Just his right now,
Good,
and then we'll move
okay.
on. Okay, any more comments on Eric's, land specific? Okay, I'm gonna close his specific, and then we'll vote on it. Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing on PID lot number 170050904 at 6:02. Okay. Discussion and action on zoning PID lot number 170050904 to agriculture.
And
Can I-
you can vote on it, and let me tell you though, the process is gonna be, I will draft an ordinance that you will approve then, the next meeting, next regular meeting, or some coming meeting, based upon what you're voting now. That's the other step, it has to be by ordinance, and given that I didn't know what it was gonna be, I did not prepare the ordinances. Go ahead.
So can I get a motion for that zoning change for that PID number 170050904 to agriculture?
I'll make that motion.
Ken makes that motion, can I get a second? Jamie second.
Any other discussion?
Roll please.
Dykeman,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Rungy, Wilkins,
Yes.
Kepler.
Yes.
Okay, opening up the public hearing on PID number, lot number 1700500332221 Road 147 to commercial, industrial, agricultural, or other. This is the one that at 6:03, this is the one that they are suggesting industrial. Comments, please.
Is that the old stables? that-
Yes, the old stables.
I have comments.
Okay, Rita.
First of all, I want to make sure, did you all get my letter?
Yes, we
Yes.
all got your
Okay.
letter.
Okay, because I was on vacation, otherwise I would have spoke what I'm gonna speak then. So, while I'm speaking on this public and to the board, I want you to keep in mind the dates I state and when the planning and zoning public hearing took place on August 25th. The letter I sent to the board, like I said, I would have read it had I not been on vacation. I'm just gonna make some highlights from that letter. I have attached an email conversation I had with the Cheyenne County Assessor's Office from August 14th. Remember, the public hearing was the 25th. Through Monday, August 18th, from the Cheyenne County Assessor Jordan Hyack, who indicated that lot PID 170050033, 2221 Road 147 is zoned single family currently and to be changed to industrial in 2026. Again, remember, the public hearing wasn't until August 25th. And she's telling me it's gonna be changed. My question is, who told the assessor's office to change it to industrial zoning when there hasn't been a public hearing? Number two, I have also attached minutes from the May sixth, 2025 regular board meeting and highlighted that it was stated by Susan Mitchell that the property at 2221 Road 147 is not currently zoned, and they, who are they, will be having the assessor's office assess the property as commercial. Then the minutes say, again, that they are requesting the land to be zoned as either commercial or industrial. Highlight number three, also attached were minutes from the June 3rd, 2025 regular board meeting highlighting Planning and Zoning Commission requesting to the board the lot PID 17005 0033 be zoned industrial. The village board approved this lot to be zoned industrial, and another lot be approved to be agriculture. Again, a public hearing had not happened. There was never a public hearing on either lot prior to being approved by the board. Legal procedures were not followed. I also want to share with you, some replies I got from Jordan Hayek. And this is mainly because I want to be transparent with the public that is here right now. Transparency is huge. I sent an email on Thursday, October 14th, before I left for vacation, knowing that the meeting was coming up on August 25th for the public hearing. I am requesting information on lot PID 17005-033 as to what it is zoned as in Lodgepole in 1973. I know that there was a Brian Lucas that had a small house on that property back in the 1960s, sometime to the date of his death in December 1973. I hope that you can answer this request. I would like to have the information as soon as possible. I heard back from her on Monday, August 18th, prior to the public hearing. We have listed this as single family currently, and it will be changing to industrial in 2026. Then I received another email from Jordan, August 20th, 5 days prior to the public hearing. And it says, "Hello Rita, it has been brought to my attention that I need to clarify more on my response to you. I was under the impression everyone that has reached out to me, so it is not only me that has reached out to the assessors about this property, was aware of the zoning being changed to industrial. I had no idea. I didn't know that the actual issue was that there was no zoning ever being given to this property to start with. If that information was given to me from the beginning, the zoning would be NA in our system. However, I cannot give a time frame of when that was implemented as single family into our system. It has been that way for years. Due to the time frame of any zoning information being released, I may or may not have been able to change it in my system. We cannot change anything for our statutes during certain parts of the year. My office does not control zoning, which we keep track of if the zoning changes. We find out about zoning via the owner or the newspaper. Some parcels in our systems do not have any zoning listed. We do not verify zoning of properties unless we are questioning a taxpayer's use of the building. We assess off of use. Use is what my main concern is, not the zoning. The village controls the zoning. When zoning questions arise, we always tell the taxpayer what we have in the system, but direct them outside of our office to planning and zoning to find out for certain. We have never said that we are correct with zoning. Because the lack of communication and some villages do not have zoning, we run our valuations off use. Our way of tracking zoning is for data use only at this point and for us to check against the usage. Usually zoning and use run hand in hand. This zoning issue that has arose for the property is not a fight with my office. This is whatever the board decides the zoning needs to become. The zoning can change 5 times this year, and whatever the decision is as of January 1st, 2026 will be what my system states, and we will verify the use at that time to complete what we must do on our end of the evaluation of the building. I hope this clarifies any confusion on how the assessor's office fits into this equation. We do not control any zoning. So that clarifies the assessment and the zoning. But my point is, the public hearing was not held until August 25th. And it was told to the assessor's office that it was going to be industrial, and it had not been approved. Well, it had been approved, but not legally. Now, my points, I am opposing industrial zoning.
You have 5 minutes.
Not on a public hearing, you don't.
Go ahead and finish.
I'm opposing industrial zoning due to the concerns about pollution, increased traffic, noise, and changes to the area's character. Impact quality of life. Pollution, industrial operations can release various forms of pollution, including smoke, chemical waste, and odors. This can contaminate the oil, soil, and water, posing risk to public health and the local ecosystems. Increased traffic, industrial sites attract a high volume of heavy vehicles such as trucks for transporting goods. This could lead to increased congestion, safety issues, and damage to local infrastructure not designed for industrial use. Aesthetic and character changes. Residents of the village often choose to live there for its quiet, rural, and scenic character. Industrial development introduces large, unattractive buildings and infrastructure that can dramatically change the look and feel of this community. It also decreases property values. It's a strain on local infrastructures. Industrial development requires substantial and consistent access to utilities like power and water. In a village, the existing infrastructure may not be sufficient to support these heavy demands, leading to service issues for residents. Safety risks, community conflict. Introducing a new industrial zone can cause conflict between longtime residents who value the village's current way of life and developers or officials who prioritize economic growth. Protection of the future, preserving community character. We seek to maintain our unique identity and rural or small town feel. By restricting industrial zoning, they can prevent the rapid and often jarring changes that come with industrial expansion. Villages may prefer to preserve their land for other uses that align better with their character, such as small-scale businesses, green space, or residential development. Ensuring public health and safety. Ultimately, zoning laws exist to ensure public health and safety. By separating industrial areas from residential ones, village reduce the negative impact on the daily lives of the residents. I would just want to thank you guys for listening to me, and I hope the board, I hope you decide not to, or to vote no to zoning that lot PID 170050033, 2221 Road 147 to industrial. I hope you vote no.
Anybody else?
I would like to, I just would like to, I won't repeat everything that Rita said, but that's been my concern all along, going industrial. And it is very concerning to me that the zoning, or the, whatever county whoever she talked to, thought it was already approved. I find that very disturbing. So who called them and said, or sent something that said that that had been changed to industrial? I've been at every meeting since this whole mess came up, and I never heard the board vote yes. When it was talked industrial, everyone said that it needed to be, at least this is my memory, that they needed more information, and we talked about the fact that we need to have a public hearing. So personally, I am very concerned that they're getting false information, and I would like for someone to find out who sent them that information. And I would hope that the board would also vote no on this industrial zone.
your name so that we can write it down?
Linda
please?
Shellman,
Thank you.
831 Bates Boulevard.
Okay. Next, Susan.
I have a question. What is FBC's whole operation zoned? They're on that same side of the street, just right. How are they zoned? I would be curious to know. Are they industrial or are they commercial?
They're industrial.
Hmm.
On both sides.
On both sides. They're already zoned industrial all the way around this property, correct? Okay. Thank you.
Susan Coleman.
I'm sorry, Susan Oman.
The grain bins are industrial right here, and the grain bins on this side are industrial.
Comparing industrial versus commercial, and I see
Conditional
commercial
use.
grain storage facilities.
Conditional use, you can't do conditional use without permission either.
Okay,
That's the one thing about conditional use, you're supposed to get permission.
if
when
anything
they go.
below here, right. So,
What?
yeah, sorry.
Cindy Bonnie, I have a question for the property owners of this, PRD that we're talking about. What is this property going to be used for? That was asked at the public hearing for the planning and zoning, and I don't think that's been answered. Is that?
Well, let's just go with all the questions first, and then I'll address it when we have that.
And then why do you want to go industrial? Why do you want to zone as industrial?
That's what the zoning board decided to do, and I couldn't
I can
vote.
hear Keith.
That's what the zoning board decided to do, voted on, and I couldn't vote on it.
And who requested that this be zoned industrial? Who put in the request, or was a request put in? I understand that a written request has to be submitted to the village office, and a fee paid. Was that done?
May board meeting, I requested to the board that we didn't have this. I said, I want to zone this, rezone it from residential to something. And I asked the board, I said, this isn't zoned, how do I go about doing this? They're the ones that asked me to send it to the zone. It's in writing in the minutes.
But did you file a request?
The
Isn't that
board
required?
asked me to send it to the zone. It's in the minutes.
I remember that
Hold on.
meeting,
Yeah.
we didn't,
Cause we weren't sure
it
how to
wasn't,
handle it.
we realized it wasn't in our authority to zone it, so we said we have to send it back to the zoning and planning committee. That's all I remember.
Yeah, cause I just didn't know how to handle it, cause it was not zoned,
I'm
so.
confused on
Okay,
this
the
is,
difference,
Yeah.
that's where there were questions in that meeting, the difference between industrial and commercial.
Well, and we weren't sure how to handle it, cause it wasn't zoned, so.
Pig farm equipment is what the lady, I think it was Cassie, from the zoning committee said, oh, just pig farm commercial, pig farming, vehicles or whatever, and that's not so.
Cindy, are you done?
No.
Sorry, Eric.
Where did you get the information that the property was never zoned? Where did you get?
It's on our maps, it's not zoned. It's never been zoned. That's where I got it. Rita gave me the maps 3 years ago.
Not that map, not that map,
Just a sec.
the other
I think you
one.
can pull that map up on the assessor site too,
Well,
right?
no, it's not on the assessment.
It's not on the assessor site
This
and
is the one that you gave me
In
in
this-
2021 or 2022.
it was the one you had earlier.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm
That's the
talking
one I
about.
gave you.
This is,
I've never seen that one that is
no,
held
this
up.
is the one I did a year ago. I'm trying to find the other one. I just had it up here. You've seen it, I showed it to everybody. That's the one I'm talking about. That's the one. I don't know.
Then
where-
don't say that I gave it to you, please.
Well, okay, hold on, I'll find the one.
Because
I gave
usually you
to
didn't give us anything when you were
Okay,
clerk,
I'm
just
sorry.
once.
Oh.
The one that it took me 2 years to get to get. This is the one that took me 2 years to get.
You still have to read all of this.
Yes. I have to hire an attorney and he helps me get this one from the board. This is the one I got, was in 2022. And when I went into the file in the computer today, because I tried to find it, I couldn't find one that was dated. Right, it was from 2022 in the file in the computer. So,
I just looked at that one today and it is dated.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything any older, I tried to see, but that is, and according to this map, it is not zoned. So, not zoned, never been zoned. That's where I got that information.
If you go to the planning and zoning, Lodgepole zoning ordinance. On the website, you have a map, a picture of that map. It's never been updated.
Yeah, so it's never been zoned, as long as I can find any documentation.
It's under the lodgepolen.e.com, under documents, forms and minutes, under planning and zoning.
It's never been zoned.
I'll stack that. I wondered who requested a zoning change for Eric Dana.
When I told the board that ours wasn't and neither was his, he was at that meeting too. He said that he thought his property was out of town, not in city limits.
Wasn't, yeah.
And so,
And it was two separate parcels, but I didn't realize that it wasn't zoned, and I didn't know that we were even that it was even gonna be a deal until that night at the board meeting.
My point is, he wasn't aware of it,
Yeah.
so I'm wondering, he didn't request it.
it's not, as we found out, our ordinance states that any property in city limits has to be zoned. We talked about it, we sent it to zoning because it has to be zoned.
Okay, so you're stating, so I'm confused, you're stating that it was never zoned. I went to the assessor's office this afternoon, and it says zone, single family.
It is assessed,
Assessed.
it's not
Assessed,
zoned.
yeah.
It says zone, I asked them,
But-
can I speak please? I always get interrupted, please. Can I, why does it say, I asked how it was zoned? I gave them the PID number, and that's what they told me. So that's not correct, when it says zoning, and then on the other side of the page, it has planning, which says farm. So, legal counsel, do you have anything to add to this? This is,
Again, the county does not indicate how it is zoned. It is the village that indicates how it's zoned, so
I
what that
understand.
is,
so why is it,
I
why do
can't
they-
tell you why the county hasn't done it. I cannot,
They get it from the village of Lodgepole, right?
I don't know. I don't know what the county does.
That's what they said.
I have
That's what, okay, so I'm confused, when it says, when I asked how this, PID was zoned, they looked it up on G-Works, which by the way, they said they really like the system, it gives them a lot of information, so just, I know that's gonna be discussed later. So I'm confused, I'd like to know, like when I go to the courthouse and say, how is this PID zoned, this is what they pulled up.
Well, I know according to Jordan and the email that she just read, they said it is not their purview, it is ours. And so whatever they're getting isn't, it's not. So I don't know,
So why would it be on?
I don't know.
They would have to get it from the village, they wouldn't make it out, would they? I'm not understanding. And it's been,
well,
there was
and
records in
and
2011.
I have talked to her extensively back and forth, so this is not just his, mine. This is, and like she said, it's changed 5 times. When I called her about my property, I was asking her back and forth, what's commercial do, what's industrial do, and every time we talked about everything. She made notes, it didn't change it, cause it won't change until 2026. So once everything got done, I was going to call her again and send her, tell her the official ruling. So even though it got changed, it was a note she made on the file. It wasn't official because it wouldn't be official until December 31st, 2025. Yes, Eric?
So-
Sorry, Cindy's not done. Sorry, Eric.
Okay, so the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission is a spouse of the chairman of the board of trustees, and their property is being requested for zoning change. Is this a conflict of interest?
I think he indicated he didn't vote on it. So
zone on it either when it came up.
Also, the owners of this property are already in violation of city ordinances already. I believe that no property in Lodgepole should be zoned industrial. Is this really for the betterment of Lodgepole? I encourage the Lodgepole Village Board of Trustees to carefully consider the request to zone the mentioned property from residential to industrial and to decide what is in the best interest for Lodgepole. Thank you for your time.
I'm gonna go with this. Commercial versus industrial.
That's where I'm at.
What is the difference?
Well, how about we let Eric speak, cause he's got it, he wants to talk, he's tried.
Oh, I'd like that answer myself.
Okay, well, the difference.
And then I'll speak.
I actually printed them off, so they're on this paper. It would be the one that has the red and the green little tabs. Red and blue, sorry.
Can someone summarize this for us? And also the public, because this is obviously an important conversation.
Also, I think you would answer my question, you just want to.
I'm waiting, I want everybody, so I can, if they have the same question, they could, I have all the answers.
Okay, my question was what do you want to do, why do you want it zoned industrial, and what is the property going to be used for, and you ask me.
I said, well, let's have everybody ask their questions, so I
That
can ask all of them.
that would be answered.
Yeah,
That would
yeah.
be answered, for sure. Yep.
So, industrial is,
Because not everybody has this paper, so that's why we
yes,
want to
that's
summarize
right.
it.
Industrial, or let's start with commercial because industrial encompasses commercial.
Right, so commercial.
Commercial, stores, shops which provide personal services, stores and shops which sell retail and wholesale merchandise, restaurants, offices, public and government buildings and facilities, and utilities and service facilities. And then it goes into the conditional use, which is stuff that cannot be done without permission from the village, which is contractor equipment storage yards, grain elevators, grain storage facilities, light manufacturing or fabrication establishments which are not noxious or offensive by reasons of vibrations, noise, dust, fumes, gas, odors, and smoke, manufacturing or storage of building or bulk oil and gas, ready-mix concrete or asphalt mix plants, sign, painting and manufacturing, welding and blacksmith shop, public utility and public service use as follows: radio or telephone exchange, microwave towers, radio towers, television towers, telephone transmission buildings, and electric power plants, public utility storage yards, commercial storage units, kennels, use similar to the uses listed above as long as the use complies with the general intent of the commercial district. Industrial district. Everything that's in the commercial district. Specialized horticulture operations, including orchards, nurseries, and similar operations, parks, playgrounds, and recreational uses. And then in the conditional uses, which again cannot be used unless you get permission from the board. Kennels, boarding, breeding, and dogs. Hospitals, institutions of an educational, religious, or charitable nature, grain elevators, grain storage facilities, communication towers, truck and rail terminals, animal hospitals and clinics, kennels, auto wrecking yards, junk yards, salvage yards, scrap processing plants, however subject to the following, and they give a certain distances. Use similar to the uses listed above as long as they comply to the general intent of commercial district 2, which we don't even have. So apparently we needed to have the tower above rezoned because it's listed in these, and we have it under, out of town. So, so that's all of those uses.
That's because it is out of town.
Huh?
I
It is.
do believe that pasture is outside of city limits.
Which pasture?
Our pasture, where the water tower is,
Yeah, I say it's out of town.
so it's
So
outside of city
But
limits.
it's within the mile, anything within a mile, we govern. Yes.
I'm sorry, now I'm confused. So it's not in city limits, but apparently we govern because it's within a mile?
Yep. Yep.
Inside a
Right.
mile, yeah.
Zoning.
Zoning does, okay, thank you.
Yep, zoning does. Yes, Glenn?
So I've looked up all the properties, if you go to Cheyenne County GIS map, and you look at all the properties that are on that end of town, their uses are all commercial. You have the state of Nebraska that has the plots right next to the highway. You have then the other is the village as well. So it's just use village. FEC is commercial, that's what they're basing their uses on. Those properties, the assessor has them as commercial. You don't get into anything else until you hit, there are some properties that are then residential that sit behind Nebraska state property. So I don't know, Rod, if you have that open, but if you go to Cheyenne County G-Works, the map, you can click on each one of those properties and you can see what their uses are. So none of them have uses of industrial. They're all being used as commercial or state or the village block.
Looks like our map does, our zoning map that's online, there's like a couple properties, parcels that are industrial.
But as far as the assessor having them as uses, there isn't anything that has a use as
I
industrial.
see.
She told me that they generally try not to use the industrial on assessment.
This one we have on our website's terrible, I can't dictate
I
all
know.
the yellows,
I
so
know.
it's hard for me to tell.
I printed them out and
It does look like there's three
So that's what,
industrial parcels in town.
that's what that one map was that I gave
Is
you.
this accurate to that?
Yeah.
So the yellow, or, yeah, these dark ones that is historical. Yep,
Yep.
yep, okay.
Yeah, the other map I gave you is the one that's on
So
the.
the one we have on this website's not.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I just have a quick comment, it's just, I'm not, first of all, I'd like to know that, if you told you that the chemicals in there, I kind of like to know that the chemicals are in the store in there. But I'm not as concerned about what you guys are going to do with it as I am if you ever sold it and it was already zoned industrial. Then someone could come in and put a junkyard in, and now they might have to, if they do what they're supposed to, they might have to go to the board. But to me, I just don't think it's a very good question.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I'm kind of simple, but why is it so important to have it zoned industrial and not?
That's what I was gonna ask
Yeah.
Tom.
I don't
Yeah,
understand
like why-
why it's so critical.
I mean, cause Susan, you said that zoning and planning committee recommended industrial. Is there any insight on that?
I think
Why?
the idea that, cause he didn't do that, he
I
stayed
know.
out of it.
I know.
So the one comment that was made is that it's still going to be used as agriculture also, because we are keeping it pasture or hay. So they were trying to figure out how to make it work so that we still had that without being out of, you know. So when they looked at industrial, it had being number 2, the specialized horticulture operation. So that was what they were looking for. That was the idea.
Keith?
Yes.
Can you do what you need to do as commercial, to your knowledge?
Not the haying. I'm not mowing that and turning it into grass all the time.
Okay.
We have.
I think that's what we all need.
For me to be
Yeah,
able
I
to
need
vote as a board member, I
understand.
need, like, I'm looking at this going, commercial makes sense, but tell me more here,
Yeah,
right? Like,
that was
That's
good.
good, I like
So-
smart
That's
people.
our
okay,
like
so
this.
from
Yeah.
that, and it goes back to your question, Cindy, which is, what is this gonna be used for?
Mhm.
And then.
I have no neighbors per se, you know, I mean, I have the railroad, Highway 30.
And it was previously, to my question before, it was wasn't people haying that in that little,
Yeah.
like that was being
We
hayed
used to,
before,
we used to
right?
do Easter egg hunts there,
Yeah.
as kids.
And
There
that's
you
what
go.
it was assessed at the assessor is under agriculture.
Agriculture.
No, it wasn't. No,
It was when I looked.
It was single
Are we talking
family.
about Eric's or are we talking
No,
about?
we're
Eric's?
talking about EK Stables.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
And
was
Stable,
zoned
so it,
previously.
okay,
They
that's
have it
why I asked
listed
before, I
under
thought there was
farming.
animals there, and it
They had it listed under
She told me
farming.
it was single family. Which I
Single
thought-
family farm.
Yeah, she told me it was single family.
Well, it's exactly on the city's paper as single farm.
So she told me it was single family.
So then I guess if we're saying, so zoning is single family, over here in your plan, it says farm.
And she told me it was single family.
So may I ask, I guess I'm wondering, if we're saying we're going to be hanging, why aren't we talking more agriculture than industrial?
That's my question.
Because if we have our business there, as in keeping our business equipment there inside the building,
A lot of equipment.
So then it can be commercial
People
and
that
you
have
can mow
agriculture,
it.
they've got all their equipment in their
are we
buildings too.
allowed to? Because that's where the question
But I'm
comes
not
in.
agriculture.
If we're hanging
Don't
it,
you mow?
Should be.
we're not,
Sure you are.
we're using a.
I use a side dump trailer all the time.
It's not a mower. It's a hanger.
Casey,
Okay,
your
so
question?
this is just my comments, I guess. Why don't we make it commercial
And throw in an extra, because there's options in there to get approval from the board for your extra things. Throw it in as commercial, have the extra approval to hay it, or do the extra stuff like that, instead of going all out on the industrial side of it.
Or
Well,
agricultural,
yeah.
and then do things that you need to do.
Sure.
that you were gonna do.
Yeah, that's my question, because, if we zone it agricultural rather than commercial, you might get a little better tax break on it.
There's not enough acres.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I think we could probably, and I'm just throwing this out there, we could zone it agricultural, but then we as the board could grant you the approval to store your equipment there and everything else that you need to do.
Isn't the community's biggest worry, if it goes industrial
Well-
and you sell the property, someone's gonna make a dump out of it?
That's-
You could say that about anybody's property though.
Like, we can hold
I know
that.
that
That's
You
what
can
we're-
say that about anybody's property.
They can't just go in.
If I buy a property and I wanna turn it to
Okay,
commercial,
yeah, sorry.
As far as the well goes, Bill, can you explain
Right.
to them that the well is not anything to do with the zoning?
What was the question, please?
They're worried that the well is going to be a concern with the zoning.
Okay, so I'm Bill Taylor, now representing Department of Water and Energy and Environment, okay? I'm here, I'm not for this issue, I'm not against this issue. I'm here to educate, mainly the board, okay? As a public water system, you have three wells in town, one's an emergency, you have two primary wells we just did a project for. What the state of Nebraska looks at, you as the Village of Lodgepole Board are the owners of your public water system. You hire a water operator, designated operator, that, is who runs your water system, okay? You have ordinances, you have controls, if any of you have looked at your ordinances and controls that are adopted. They have setbacks you have adopted, you have ordinances. You as the village board control them issues. So some of the setbacks, since the issue here is chemical storage within 500 feet, you are not allowed to have chemical storage within 500 feet. You're not allowed to have a feedlot within 1,000 feet. And then there's a whole line there, if you guys look at your ordinances, you already have the controls there. So you as the board would control that. So,
Doesn't matter the zoning, we would control that. anyway.
zoning has nothing to do with the water well, with the setbacks, anything like that. That's
So-
a whole different issue there.
Question, Billy, if the water gets contaminated of chemicals, who is gonna get sued over that?
So ultimately, it comes back to the village board, because that is, but anything is private property. The village board has to regulate that through the ordinances, controls, NRDs, DNRs. The state of Nebraska will ask the village board, why didn't you address your ordinance, why did you do that? Then that becomes a bigger issue, it goes way up the chain from there, so I can't answer that question.
Is this building within 500 feet of the water source?
It is approximately 300 feet,
300 feet?
give or take.
So are there chemicals planning on being stored there?
No.
That's funny, 'cause that's
And
what-
so when we had the primary, report, we had the inquiry, at that time we had a water operator. I talked to the water operator, he made a report, I said, you need to go investigate this and give the state of Nebraska, the department a report. Report, he investigated, he talked, it appears there are no chemicals at that time being stored. He also, the village of Lodgepole sent the owners of that property a letter just letting them know that they are within the setbacks of public water system, so they have been advised of that, maybe they didn't know. And, we as a department made some recommendations just for the process approval. The board, water operator at that time should provide all the ordinances, all the setbacks data to the planning and zoning, so when they look at these issues, they have this stuff. So the board, when they make these issues, they have all this stuff. Just a recommendation, to help the process maybe before we get to this point, right? So that's what many towns do, so. Okay.
Cindy Baumgart, housing on Bates Boulevard. Susan, you brought this up at the planning and zoning commission hearing. You told me that you were moving chemicals from your residence out there to the west of the town because of your grandchildren.
Okay, now, Cindy,
And
you and I had a discussion that day too, but you told us stuff in passing that is just offhanded comments. When I told you that, I was talking about, it could be the lawnmower, it could be my scissor lift, it could be all of that stuff. When I'm talking chemicals, it's more of a,
We live in a barn though.
yes.
You charge a scissor lift a 6-volt battery, you smell comes off of it.
So I'm talking chemicals, I didn't tell you specific chemicals, because I'm not
Clorox.
talking specific chemicals. It was a general term about anything in a building that we live in. Do you have your lawnmower in your living room? Do you have all of that stuff in your living room? Because that shop is my living room. We have parties in our house that where we store our equipment is in our house. When we moved here, we thought, oh, it would be cool because it's our house, everything's house there. Well, now we're realizing it's not so cool.
Okay, I'm just repeating.
Well,
So I think what's appropriate is to finish up the public hearing part of it, any other public comments, get them made, and then it goes to discussion and action by the board.
So, in reference to what you asked earlier, we are going to take our business equipment, supplies to this location. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be where we take our stuff and put it out there. It's gonna be where our business is located, instead of in our house. That's what it is.
Would you be willing to
I'd say one more
supply
thing.
a list of chemicals?
I don't have chemicals.
Well, there's chemicals in.
I hate to tell you.
Insulation, don't you? You have an insulation business, correct?
The chemicals that you think I have are in your well houses right now. So.
They're in a
go-
solid form.
It's not any different. It's the same stuff. The government is worried about the same stuff.
It's not even federally regulated.
Yes, Susan.
It's not.
Susan Oman, 1048 Bates. I would just like to ask the board to take into consideration in this decision what they're asking of you to do today. Not take it into consideration what might happen if they sell the property. Because no one can be in control of who might buy the property or what might be done with it. Not my house, not your house, not his property. It needs to be considered what they're asking of it today, not futuristic use. You can't do that. Like, I'd be like saying no one can build a barn on my vacant lot, or, no, you don't know what someone's going to do in the future. It has to be today, right now, what they're asking right now.
Well, we do know that it's not zoned industrial.
But the worst part about it is, you might not take that into consideration, but once it's zoned that and they sell it, it's already listed industrial. Now you have to try to take that away from whoever buys that.
Eric, we
And
can
if
send
they
us
end up and put a ethanol factory there or whatever there, now you got a bigger fishing front.
It's a pretty small space.
I know, but I mean,
But we can send
I
us-
gotta argue that
But
point.
we can say the same thing about your property. If we zone it
Great.
agriculture, we can say, no, now we don't want to because we don't want houses there. Come on.
they can't be a feedlot because it's 1,000 distance, you have to have 1,000. And that's the other thing is if you're not gonna follow the city ordinances, distances or whatever, and you do contaminate the water supply and you get a lawsuit, that goes on the
Okay,
village.
you know what?
That's all I'm saying.
We were.
I was by a well in Chapel, nobody ever
Yes.
bothered me
I know,
until
I'm
we came
just-
here.
We
Why would you
didn't
even move here?
contaminate that well.
Why would you have a business here if you have that much trouble?
Yes.
Right.
Just take it into
Absolutely.
consideration before you vote on it.
Goodbye.
We have letters from Chapel stating how they hated to see us leave.
She does.
May I speak?
Go down there.
Please,
I'm hearing why a small town fails.
yeah.
I'm hearing it.
Mhm.
Do you want businesses?
No.
I want the Mitchells here. They bring in a lot of income and they're not gonna break the law. Do you know about EPA, OSHA, all that? I worked under that in my job and they watch it like a hawk. We should be welcoming them.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Well, yeah, and this is why your town is failing. You know what? What I'm hearing here tonight.
Got a handful of people.
Now, you have the right to say that. I have the right for my opinion.
Yes.
I have heard in Chapel why Cabela's failed. You know why Cabela's failed? I know the history. And they moved to Sydney. Ladies and gentlemen, we want the Mitchells. They are not gonna break the law. Okay? So I think, thank you for coming to Lodgepole.
I need to follow ordinance.
I think.
So, yeah.
What's come to the board, the board has to approve what the planning and zoning committee did, and what they did was recommend industrial. Me personally, I don't have enough information to understand why can't it be commercial versus industrial. But what's in front of me right now is industrial, and I don't get it. I don't understand, I mean, it sounds like industrial other than just that. But why not, why commercial, why didn't it, I mean, maybe I'm asking for more of an education from the zoning and planning committee to understand why.
Well, that's what they told us. That was their reasoning, they were trying to figure out how to accommodate those things. Because we are paying and we are carrying our business.
What I keep hearing is a consistent concern.
How would we close that?
Well, make sure there's some other comments, don't make
Okay.
the discussion, close it, and the board can discuss.
Okay. Any more comments? We will close the public hearing at 6:49. Go ahead.
So, and this is, a concern, I think, of everyone in this room and everyone in this town. The water stuff is what's the biggest concern, right? Chemicals and water. Am I understanding this right, that no matter really how this is zoned, yes, zoning, we definitely need to take account, that's what we're about ready to vote on, but the accountability of the ordinances, preventing things that could potentially harm our water, it really doesn't matter what it's zoned, because if we hold accountability, which we should, in this role, then we're good.
Yeah.
Am I understanding that right?
Bill said, and he's told a number of people, the zoning has nothing to do with the water.
But the lawsuit will come back on you if it does.
And that's the whole point of us holding accountability to these ordinances, which is something that we have been talking about for a long time, some that we need to, really evaluate how to do that.
Bill laid out some guidelines on footage, so that should be what you make
There's-
your
No,
decision.
actually, we need to discuss this. Bill isn't the expert, that's it. But the zoning, we have ordinances for the water. The zoning is separate from the
Right.
ordinances.
So that the chemical conversation, the concern of contaminating our water system with all the energy and money and time that we've done for our water
Yeah.
system, zoning
Yeah.
is not it, it is accountability of ordinances and our role as a board.
Yes. And.
Okay.
I'd like to also add that you guys have, wellhead protection maps and designated areas through the NRD. You should pull them up. You have vulnerability assessments that make wells, all your wells vulnerable now and 30 years ago. You have all this information somewhere over through your files and ordinances, all your controls. So that might be good to pull all that out and look at that stuff as well. That would help some understanding.
Bill, how often is the water tested? So if there was contamination, how soon would they find it?
Again, depends on the chemical and they take back T tests once a month. They take quarterly tests, annual tests, 3-year tests, 6-year tests, depending on if they're man-made chemicals, if they're natural organic chemicals. It's all on a different.
So chances are.
It's all mandated, yes.
It would pop somewhere in there that there was something going on if there was any contamination.
At some point.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no, again, that was what your wellhead protection, time of travel, it takes 5 years for the water to move from Sonoma here or something. Your map shows you that, so, yes.
Would it be correct in saying that if anybody that has a well could technically contaminate?
So she asked about a private well, so yes, you cannot have a private water well within 1,000 feet of a public water well. So that is, again, in your ordinances again.
So I'm taking the water.
Correct. Correct. And that's us holding accountability and making sure that our citizens aren't putting things nearby that are
That's not what's before us
It's not
right
what we're
now.
talking about.
No, we're simply looking at a zoning designation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it all
And
sounds,
like I
yeah,
said,
good.
I went through those here. I have, you know, not only did I include all the stuff, I included what the water people found. I included the letter from, Chapel, the City of Chapel, the Chapel Economic Development. I included all of the letters from the community, but we have done, I mean, we don't go about doing anything, we are very respectful when it comes to, particularly with the business, because it is our name. Yes.
Is it appropriate that Susan is arguing for since it's her property?
Yeah, I mean, this is the board right now talking,
We drink the water too.
So I've included all of that so that, you know, you have your information.
the whole point in having committees and these entities or small groups within here is to be an extension of us, is to do and give us recommendations based on what they know. We can't be experts in everything, but I'm leaning my decision when we get to this based off of the recommendation from the committee that knows more and that has discussed this and had the information in front of them and said, okay, and was voted upon. And them saying, hey, this is my job as the zoning and planning committee, we're recommending this. Like, that's a big consideration
And
where I go.
the owner, he's sustained.
Right.
I sustain, I will sustain, yeah.
Like I wanna rely on our people. I mean, that's why we have our committee.
Well, I'm looking at the two different designations, industrial versus commercial.
Yeah.
And that's pretty black and white for me. And that we as a board, whichever way we go, we have the latitude to grant certain rights
To approve certain things that happen.
with
Yeah.
whatever designation we go.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so, when you said it's black and white, you feel like that there is clarity around commercial and
For me, there is,
industrial?
yes.
And is the biggest thing is the hang, that's the difference? Or that's agriculture?
No.
Okay.
No. That's something that, if we were to go commercial, that's something that we could say, you're zoned commercial, but we as the village board are going to allow this. Because if I understand correctly, we have that authority. Because we,
Yep.
and that would take care of the property owners.
Jerry,
I don't see agriculture as a conditional use.
That's where I'm,
Okay.
I don't,
I don't
this.
see it here listed under the ordinance.
Okay,
I'd say the black and, I'm not black and white, this is where it's blurry for me.
okay,
And that's why I'm wondering, like, maybe you're kind of like the commercial versus industrial I'm
All right.
confused upon, which is why I'm leaning towards,
all right. Thank you, Jerry.
yeah. I think the agricultural one is more like, oh.
Yeah.
So, in summary, where the committee leaned towards suggesting industrial, that's because of the potential for horticulture and hay, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay.
So conditional uses has to be voted on by the board.
We approve it.
Okay.
Yep, so everything below here, they
I
can't
think
do.
it takes a separate application to get a conditional use, when you would not be able to do tonight.
Anything under conditional use has to be voted on.
And it would have to fall within one of these, within that designation.
You're right.
So if it was commercial, does that mean you can't pay it?
It's not under there,
Yeah,
it's
because,
not under commercial.
yeah, from what Jerry said, the way I took it is that if it were commercial, then they could not pay that, because it's not
It's not
under the,
listed.
it's not under the conditional uses. There's something in the planning and zoning committee recommendation, where you say we recommend, what's in front of us is industrial. Is there any, we are recommending it, and this is why? Is there anything like that? I know we don't,
Other
we
than
should
Yeah.
probably
get a
trust our
report
committees,
from-
But at
but
least,
there's a reason we have to vote on.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'd like to know why that decision was made. That
I agree, that would make our job easier.
That's what they discussed was so we could hay it and if you ever put animals on it.
I know I'm out of turn, but I was at the planning and zoning meeting, and there was not a reason.
I was gone
he,
from that
he
meeting,
was at
so.
the planning and
He
zoning.
didn't, haying did not come up. Haying was not mentioned.
Not at that one.
At the August 25th one, there was not a reason. There was not haying, was not discussed.
It wasn't the June one. He's gonna
quorum. Say, I mean, I'm sitting here and you're saying haying was
We are-
mentioned at August 25th and it was.
We asked the chairman, he spoke, so.
Right here. Special school culture operations including workshops and nurseries.
Answers and celebrations that similar English non-type.
The one answer to one, the chairman's not gonna give you the answer, I don't know who's supposed to give you answers.
Chief is the head of the planning and zoning, he brought the information. I don't know if you can bring that over to planning and zoning either.
So my question then is, if the haying is the only thing keeping us out of the commercial, then, what part of the agricultural designation would it not be able to fall under that? What part of the operation or the use would disqualify it from being zoned agricultural?
There's nothing in there for commercial. There's nothing in it for commercial.
For commercial?
Yeah.
A lot of our farmers and ranchers around are commercial operations.
Could we, and you would like what, more information we have? I'm almost leaning towards making a motion to having the committee that we are relying on to speak more on the why. Before I feel comfortable voting, that is kind of where my mind goes, but I also want to get back from you guys. I could be the only one who's like, you guys know, I feel good on voting, we can move to that, but I feel comfortable making a motion saying on this specifically, having a report from the planning and zoning committee to give a little bit more feedback as into why. It's one person who is, I appreciate you.
But you want the whole board to come.
Yeah, because that question I also have with agriculture, like I have these questions.
But you can't have a commercial and an agricultural zone either.
What part of commercial do you need to do what you need to do here?
Because it's a commercial business, and they told us we couldn't have a commercial business in another district.
Why?
Cause that's the ordinances.
Well, I think it's what she's saying, because through the operation of the farm and ranch, using normal and customary practices, this does not allow for a business other than farming or ranching.
Agriculture,
Yeah.
she's talking commercial.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This, from their business, putting it would knock them out of this. I think that's why, just they had to go and
Curious.
industrial.
They pay the lot right east of the Linger Longer Lounge every year too. Tossing that out there.
The one east of it?
Yeah. Maybe not every year, but
So if we do it commercial, we just pay it.
It's commercial.
They do it, but maybe it's the question of
So
should
the
they
next
be?
board says I can't?
Yeah.
Trying to do things right here. 5.5 years have been picked on by bullies. Picked on. Turned in EPA.
I think, are you talking to me, good, Keith?
No, that one. That one.
I enjoy
One
it.
on left. You've
So-
complained.
So real quick, we're,
I can't get anybody to spray my yard down there at the middle place because you
think
ran
we're
them
getting
off.
Paid time.
this time isn't for that.
That's fine. They've done it before, so.
I'm just trying to get the best information for me to make the best decision here.
Mhm.
That's what the board decided to do.
Okay. And the why is because of haying, like this is where you feel
Yes.
good, I just need to
Yes.
know. The why is because what you wanna do, and I want you to be empowered to do what you want to do on your land
Yeah.
within.
Because their property is never our property, we get taxed to death
Yeah.
in this county, and we
Sure.
still can't even do anything or make a business. Owning your own business is expensive.
Oh, yeah.
It took a long time to get where we're at.
Yep, yep.
And I never had anybody give me any trouble. I've never spilled, I've never had any chemical get anywhere
Yep.
from anything I've ever done, not even on properties we go to 300-mile radius we go.
And that's where
None.
that would be our job, to hold that accountability. Doesn't matter if it's agriculture or industrial or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I will hold myself accountable higher than you will, so yes, but I get what you're saying.
Keith, the way that I'm looking at this here, we're trying to look at what
No,
would be
I know what you're saying.
the best
I
best
just
for
find
you,
that-
Right.
so you can do what you need to.
Better.
But taking into consideration the rest of the residents within the village, they're hung up on this industrial moniker. Because that would allow for things in the future, not that saying it's you, but we as a board are trying to find a way for you to be able to do everything that you need to do and be done with it. And just say, go have at it and make tons of money.
At this point, I'm, as a citizen and not as a board member, there's people in this community that are doing business out of their homes. Or are we gonna start pointing fingers at them and saying, oh no, you can't run that business out of your home? Because that's exactly what we're doing. Are we gonna start doing that now too? I mean, seriously, that's what you're doing, because you're starting to say, oh, but wait a minute, you might be doing something in the future, so, oh, yeah, no, we can't do that.
No,
That's
we
what
can't.
we're doing.
So that's exactly what's happening. I'm
I
with
just,
Jamie.
this is
I think
getting to
we
be
need-
way too much.
We need some more information.
Well,
Yeah,
that's all they
I
said.
want them to run their business. I've used their business.
For sure.
I want them to run their business. I don't understand the industrial thing, and that's on me, because I just don't get it.
Well, there's no trick to industrial, it just makes more sense, and
I
that's what
see
they
some
voted on
really
tonight.
crazy stuff under the industrial, what can happen, and I know you don't do those things,
Right.
but I see some crazy stuff, and that concerns me, I just don't have enough information, I'm sorry. I need more information
Well,
to vote on what's in front of me.
the other stuff is the stuff you have to go through the board for.
That's the
That's-
conditional things.
Yes.
I get that.
Cause, I mean, but I don't know how to make it so that you can do multiple things on a property.
Okay. If we do this as industrial, this is a given. All of this, they, whoever owns this would have to come to us and we'd have to approve it. So we have control over that.
And you have to do a separate application to be able to do that.
Yeah. So we have control over all of this.
Hmm. Anyway,
You guys do a quick question. Did you guys workshop with the planning and zoning, and not call it necessarily a meeting, but a workshop where you had your planning and zoning committee here, and you guys were here, and you could ask them questions, and so you could understand better what your planning has to vote on, and you do that?
what's the point of having committees if we can't rely on the
Well,
committees to
Susan,
make
let's be
decisions?
really honest here. Part of the problem, and I'm not saying that there is conflict of interest, but the appearance of conflict of interest is there. Now, I know he didn't vote on it, but he has
You guys
over his.
have had a conflict of interest with us since we moved here. So you'd still
Yes,
be
you
doing
have.
the same thing if I wasn't on the
Decorum. Decorum.
Right, so coming back to here, so board, do we
Okay.
need to have, does anyone need more information before we can vote on this? Do you
If I'd have
need-
asked for
okay, so
commercial,
then-
you'd have wanted something different.
So then I would make a motion that you more.
I think you have me confused with somebody else.
Make a motion to table it? Is that
Yep.
what I heard?
Okay.
Well, son of a bitch is going up for sale. Fuck all. Fucking.
had this much trouble in Chapel, ever.
Let me,
We were there for 15 years.
Yeah.
We ran our business just fine.
Susan, we were just asking for a little more time to.
No, no,
That's all.
no. We have been at this for 3 months. This has been 3 months.
but here, let me say, you're allowed to be frustrated, but let me say this. Our first or second meeting, we came in here not knowing the process.
I didn't know the
And then
process.
we
I didn't
kind of
know the
voted on something.
Whose fault is that?
Assuming it was done right and it wasn't. So then we went back and did it right, right? And before we do this again, I wanna make sure it's right. I want you guys to be empowered to do your business.
Okay. It's been 5 years of this, nonstop. So, nope. Nope. When we can't even make
So-
commercial work,
So I guess
We-
here's
we-
the thing too, wait a second now. We all have a say. You get a say, I get a say, so does everybody here. And when there are people, more than just me, I'm gonna say, I need more information, this is not against you or your husband. And I'll say personally too, you're important to us. I have a duty to vote on here. And I feel uncomfortable between these two, and I even said I wanna leverage our communities. I'm not saying that your husband's voice doesn't matter, but I'm saying it might be helpful from a perception and also from an education standpoint to say, here's why. Why I get, hey, okay, I'm close. If I need to vote, I would be pushed in the position where I felt uncomfortable, kind of like I was before because I was ignorant. I was ignorant before. I don't wanna be ignorant again. And what would really solidify, and if there's nothing to hide and if there's no concern of this shouldn't, and I apologize for the amount of time, there's been lots of other entities that have been super patient and waiting for us to move forward, right? And I'm just asking, I'd like to make a motion to move this to get a little bit more information from the committee, having representatives, not just the chairman, but more representatives to educate us before I feel comfortable voting on this. But the vote that I will vote on is going to be for the empowerment of our citizens to do their job and what they wanna do for a business, for the safety of this committee, this community as well. And also learning that no matter what this is zoned as, we are empowered, it is our duty and our right to make sure that our water, our drinking water, that everyone, including their family, drinks. We are all in this together. And this is where, like, I know that was personal and I apologize. All of us are obviously wanting to do what's best, including you guys. I need a little bit more understanding before I do this because I was ignorant before and I don't wanna make that mistake again. That's where I'm at.
the other board member was supposed to be here, but she doesn't have to take care of the kids, so she couldn't come either.
And if they can't.
So can I get a second to
Who made the motion?
Jamie?
Second.
Any other discussion? All right, voting, Dyken,
Yes.
Mitchell, Rungy,
That's me.
Yes.
I think I know how I would vote, so I'm gonna vote no.
you vote no?
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes.
all right.
Discussion and action, or I need to open a public hearing on replatting lots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, lot 4 of Overfelder First Edition, the corner of Cleveland Street and Cleveland Street for lots, from 6 lots into 2, opening at 7:15. Okay, anybody have any discussion on this? For public.
So
I don't
read.
want to do,
Other comments on public
I
hearing?
guess, just so I'm understanding, they don't have an alley in their property, right? And so it's just going to become one taxable property?
There'll be two taxable properties.
I think they're going 6 lots
No,
down to
they're
2.
going, yep, 6 to 2, there is no alleys.
You know, those little 3 slots is people, I think that's the only.
So may I ask, I guess, I have properties that are situated the same. Is that an option for me to do, to go through this process and have those replatted to take the alley out?
No, because this one, the alleys are already vacated, where yours, I'm sure still have the alleys.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, this one, the alleys were vacated, I'm not sure when, but they were vacated, it's actually written up that way. In their current description says lots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, block 4, Overfelter, first edition to Lodgepole, Charlene County, Nebraska, and that part of the vacated Cleveland Street, and that part of the vacated part of the alley, abutting lots 4, 5, 7, and 8. So they're already vacated. They're just trying to switch it from 6 lots to 2 for purposes of a construction loan. Because apparently the bank won't lend, but they're not gonna construct here now, because she says that she's had it with this village.
Yeah.
So. So, not sure if they're gonna sell it, or if they're just gonna leave there and bought land out of state. She said this has been a year and a half ordeal trying to get this done.
Trying to just get it replatted?
Yep.
This is the
don't
first
have
time
any-
it's on the agenda?
Yeah, she went through the county assessor first, and, yeah, it's been a whole ordeal. Any other questions?
Will it need to be surveyed?
Yeah, it's surveyed.
Been surveyed.
Yeah, it's been surveyed. I have the
And then
official
this was
surveyor.
paid for it?
Mm-hmm.
right here. The clerk has to sign it, So. No other comments, I'll close I'm closing the public meeting at 7:18. Discussion and action on the request to replat lots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, block 4, Oberfelder's first edition, corner of Latham Street and Cleveland Street from 6 lots into 2. Okay,
So I suppose that's probably what's going on with theirs. I don't know.
So, this is where it's at. This one doesn't count now. This is on the north side. This is Latham, this is,
Yeah, this one, we're on north side.
this is south side. This is north side, this is Eric's house. This is,
North side.
this is, the railroad tracks right here. Right here. This is Eric's house, right up here. This is Eric's house.
Okay.
This is Jeffrey's property, this is Jerry, he's in the wheelchair. And that's where,
Okay, so they just, to replat is just to know where the property lines are.
well, and, yeah, cause, yeah, this is the preliminary. So they just basically want to take the alley and stuff, you know, cut it down the middle. Pins here and here and here and then
They would own this alley.
they already do it.
Okay.
Because it. Yeah, so they just wanna replot it, so it's going on the six, it'll just be, yeah, it'll just be 2.
A lot of
Right.
times you won't be allowed to
4 hours later.
build over different lots. So they'll have one lot to build on, it'll be big enough.
What are the concerns that it?
I asked her the other day to make sure that we would still have an easement along this road where we have the power line, where the utilities go
access it.
through,
Okay.
and she said, yes, there's still an easement.
Okay.
Does it say that in here? About the easement, but it's easement.
side of the property, of
No,
course, in this,
it's right in
wouldn't
this.
take away the
Okay.
subject matter research.
Okay.
No.
This feels pretty
Makes
decent.
sense.
Any more discussion?
No.
Okay. All good? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the, request to replat lots 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, block 4, Oberfelter's first edition, corner of Latham Street and Cleveland Street from 6 lots into 2.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Beckman,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Yes.
Rungy, Wilkins,
Yes.
Kepler.
Yes.
Okay, discussion and action on passing resolution 293, the municipal annual certification of program compliance to Nebraska Board of Public Roads classification and standards for 2025. I don't have this because I don't know exactly what it is. I put in last year's just so you could see what it should be, that's what this is. Item number 17 in the little tabs. So I just put that in so we kind of know what it is. So we need to do that. I just don't know what we're looking for.
So, substitution 293, where is that?
Yeah.
We don't have that.
No, no, but I stuck this in so we can, you would know what it is that we need to do in the next month. When I find, or somebody finds it, is I'm done doing all this stuff at the office. Cause we need to run our business. So,
This would be something for Pat's.
okay, okay,
This is,
It's like the state,
he's our road,
Yeah.
he's the road.
I have just
Yeah.
heard to do this.
I would reach out to him, he
Yep.
would
I
know.
wondered. I just found it today, so I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it was on the agenda, already, so I was like, oh, okay, I figured that out.
a stable.
Yep, table that.
Svenny's, yep.
Okay, discussion and possible action on a pay rate for employment opportunities with the road to Lodgepole. Jamie, you brought this up, so we can figure out a pay range for the.
Yeah, so
position.
as we're hiring and trying to fill these two positions, last we talked is really to evaluate and make sure there's a realistic expectation of the roles, right? I mean, these roles are heavy, meaning there's, I think last time, when I was looking at the clerk and treasurer, you have 7 pages of responsibilities, right? And it's like, before we work towards hiring, my mind went to, let's first evaluate and make sure, is this what should be in this role? Treasurer and clerk, and then same discussion with maintenance, right? Those roles that we're wanting to fill. And then the question of where my mind goes from a hiring perspective, having expectations of the role and that those job responsibilities, fair pay, giving them the tools to be successful, right? All these things. So from a pay rate for employee opportunities, as we are posting this, do we even have a pay raise right now for those roles? Is my question. This is this was on here to just have discussion because we need to hire.
I noticed when the job post, and I don't know if this is something the municipality can't do, is there's not even a salary range when we post.
And that's what and that's a great question. Like, can we have a salary range? Because most people do. Is that not?
So you would have passed a resolution setting the specific wages for all employees, each employee. So
there's already a pass seal.
Well, it's not pay scale, it is a resolution setting that specific rate.
Do we have
And it
that?
changes.
Because I don't know what it is. Do you know what it is?
I don't have it handy now.
Okay. We need that information to know
Sure.
what currently,
Yep.
because I don't know currently or past, and then look at that and say, when was the last time that was updated? Is that fair? What should it be? And this,
I
you know what I
think we
mean?
need to do an analysis
Yes.
for each one of them.
Yes.
And, we should take that from several areas within our area.
Yeah, competitive landscape.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
So-
then, I'm sorry.
Yep.
And then one thing too, we may wanna look at, do we wanna keep one or both hourly, or do we want to go salary?
What are we in for benefits and these other, things? Where, I guess first step is figuring out what hasn't been in the past.
Yeah.
And
where
then
are
do
we now?
analysis within nearby and those types of roles, right?
Where would we find that information?
What you're currently paying?
Mhm.
Yeah, it'd be set by some resolution. Oh, hold on, let me keep looking. Let me see if I have let's see if I have that here. I don't. So I'd have to look through the minutes and figure out when the resolution was passed setting their salaries.
And I might be able to find it, but it won't be this week.
Just says, looking back on us making approvals for hired help and like a benchmark, and again, my experience is not in municipality type
Yeah.
ranges, right? So thinking hourly range sounds good, okay. But when we don't even know, does anyone know on this board what we?
And if we're looking at a 7-page job description, should that really be one person or two?
Right. Yep.
So,
'Cause
just
7 pages
FYI,
is a
Jerry,
lot
there
for
isn't a
one person.
resolution, it would have been done in the meeting minutes when they were hired. There's not a resolution, we would have made a motion to hire.
It wasn't changed at any time after that,
So then,
their rates?
when we hired them, we would have hired them at a rate, and I believe, I wasn't involved in Cindy's, but like when they hired Steve, he was given a rate, and we said, once you complete this license, then you'll get increased to this, once you get this, then you'll get increased to
You're
this,
saying
and
it's
then.
in the minutes.
It's in the minutes, when they were hired.
Is there any,
But there
Besides-
was never a range set, just FYI,
So
there was
dollar,
never a
okay.
range set.
okay, that's helpful because we're trying to, it's like we have these job descriptions and we approved them, but I'm hearing no one even knows what that rate should be.
And the reason they're not salaried is because when we redid the employee handbook and we worked with Klein Williams, we worked with a labor law attorney, they're not in positions that can be paid a salary.
Okay. Okay.
In Colorado, they have an organization that gives you pay rate ranges for different, counties.
Yep.
And it's called the Rocky Mountain, I don't know, but you can probably start there.
Yep.
By looking in Nebraska for the particular area, and then they would give you.
I'm not concerned about doing the research and analysis of nearby, that's all information we can get. It's really the information that we have is the hard part to get.
So
But Bill, you have
looking
a-
like the
So
June
just
meeting minutes.
a recommendation,
Yeah.
you guys all are members of Nebraska Rural Water. They do a rate study of every village in Nebraska. Pay, municipal, your water rates, sewer rates, what you're paying your maintenance man, what you're paying your clerk, almost every village participates in that. So that would be good information for you to compare like-sized villages. And also the League of Municipalities, which I think you guys use a lot, have a same kind of thing. So it's all good information that you might want to compare.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, or shall we move on?
Well, let's just make sure that we're moving towards, we need to find the minutes of that, we need to figure out where we were, and then we do the analysis of where we should be.
I know Steve's was 18 when he started, $2 more for, one license and $2 more for the second license. Cindy, I don't know, I think
I was hired at 20 an hour.
she was hired at 20 an hour.
$20 an hour. The lady that was before me that worked part-time was $24 an hour.
And that's because she didn't get the $700 stipend.
Yeah, and I got the $700 stipend, which is the only thing I got.
$700 stipend.
Health
for
stipend after
health
6
every
months.
month.
After 6 months, yeah.
After 6 months, but
Yeah.
that was $700 every month that you got,
healthcare stipend or whatever.
Did Steve get a house stipend too?
Yes, after 6 months.
So,
So,
that's,
thank you.
Yeah,
thank
very
you.
helpful. That's why I wanted this on here, cause we need, need to fill these, but it's
Yeah.
like.
We need to,
we were
we
at.
need to nail that down
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
And I know the municipalities and what Bill said are a good resource, because,
Okay.
I know, Al, Van, whatever it is, the consultant told me that leading municipalities was a good place to look.
Okay. And the other thing, this is gonna go right in hand when we evaluate this. I mean, I still have questions on the budget, I still have questions on what we have with the network. And all this almost needs to be buttoned up before we feel confident in saying, hey,
Yeah.
come work here.
Folks need to fix.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
anything else? Okay, so table that and move on. We're tabling number 19 because Ethan's not here, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so next month, yes, possible.
I have something to, he's not gonna make a presentation then.
Not tonight, because we just thought that everything's going on, it might be better, so that we get
Next
some
month.
of this stuff figured out, yeah.
He wanted to come though, I kinda asked him.
Well, my point is, everybody needs to look at our ordinances. It's 32 dash, or dot 02, which deals with the library board. The library board is supposed to be appointed and voted on by the board as a whole before they are on to the deal. Everybody on the library board must be a resident of Lodgepole. So you can't live in the country and still be on the deal. You keep going on into this whole deal, and basically it says, all actions of the board are subject to review and supervision by the governing board, which is the governing board. So anything that is decided needs to be presented to the board. Your minutes and everything need to come to the board for approval. So that's my point. Where we got into this whole deal is that you guys had authority over everything that has to do with you do have the day-to-day operations. You do supervise the librarian. But as far as anything else, the money and stuff, that all comes through the village.
Well, and that's why we want, I just wanna get it clear, cause I don't really care one way or
Well,
the
it
other.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He can come and say anything he
Well,
wants.
no, because he
It
said.
says right here what we are to follow,
but the
and we
state-
haven't been doing it. It hasn't been for a long time. None of the board has been approved by this board or any other board for, I don't even remember how long. So it needs to get changed back to what it
We'll
was,
definitely have him at the next meeting.
and everybody needs to understand that
Well, I'll let you have that
the
argument with
hierarchy.
him, because he's told us a whole different bunch of stuff. We don't know. We were told that state ordinance supersedes, county ordinance. There was a town that had the same issue we had. The
Does-
state auditors walked in and they said, no, it is free library. I don't know, I don't care.
It's an ordinance.
I mean, I don't really care.
Okay.
I just wanna know for sure what it is.
So where my mind goes, and, I'm hearing we gotta get back to where we need to be in whole accountability and ordinance, but then also education is like, I don't know how all of this works too. Is the purpose, what was his name? Ethan.
All he is
And
is
he
a
was going
librarian
to-
at Scotts Bluff.
He's
Yes,
the
he is.
director of the whole Western Library System.
Is he actually employed by the state of Nebraska?
Yeah, I think so.
No,
I'll double check.
I don't think so.
I talked
And
to.
it doesn't matter who he's employed by, this is what we gotta follow. Am I right or wrong, Jerry? Do we follow our ordinance?
The ordinance, as long as the ordinance is consistent with the state statutes.
It is.
I
It
talked-
is consistent
I
with it.
talked to Ethan, and when it comes to the daily operations of the library, it is up to the library board. The library board and the village have to remember that we have to be cohesive together. And so that is paramount, but when it comes to the funds, you got, the library board makes the decisions on how they want to spend it, but it has to then go through the village board, because the village board
And we don't have
is.
any problem with that, there was only the Weavers account that we were questioning.
Any
Because
funds.
it is and that's what we have to figure out, because the Weavers account has never been a part of the village. It never came from the village, it was never given to the village. It is a separate account that was always for library control. Now, I don't care, it's not my money, I'm not gonna, I don't care, I'm just telling you what we have had.
Who manages that
several
account?
people tell us.
Who manages that account? Who's the manager of that account she's talking about? Under the village or not under the village? Who's the manager of that account?
That's what it's, the state said.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
And
so.
because
It's
we're
the
happy
village.
to do
I'll answer
whatever
that
it
question.
says. Whatever the end result is, we will abide by it, obviously.
Okay, so we will table that until
That's what we need to get back to.
we will.
Yeah, that's the ordinance.
Yeah.
We're talking about following ordinances, so this is an ordinance we need to get back to where we're going. And it's been a point of contention that you keep saying that the library board has control over this building, who accesses this building, who does everything with this
But we
building. It's the village board's
But Al, we
building.
didn't make that up. We were told that, so.
You were told what?
That we were told what we're discussing. We were told that the state statute says this, then there's several others, things that have been written. And that's why I wanted to have Ethan here, but the board thought that it was better not to have him until things were.
I've mentioned it several times, the ordinance takes precedent over anything that Ethan's gonna come in and say.
So can I just ask a question
Yeah.
respectfully, please? Jerry, so state statutes don't matter, period. That's what no, I just wanna ask the village attorney, that's all. The state statutes do not matter.
That's
Nebraska
not
state.
what that's not
It
what I
does,
just
it's
said.
not what that says at all. It says in there, you have the day-to-day running of the library,
Have you read the state statute?
but you do not have control
I'd
over.
like to be here.
Well, we were also given the name of a lawyer in Lincoln that wrote, well, we don't wanna do that, Al, we don't wanna do that. We just want us to figure it out together, that's all.
But you still, if you start talking to people, you don't keep saying state statute, because we're following village ordinance, which also incorporates the state statute, where the library board has these functions, no other functions. They don't have control of the building. It's our building, our maintenance. We control the money you put in for a budget. The village approves that budget. As the year goes by, you ask for funds from that.
And I agree with you, except
And
I was told
that's
he
how
was
that
announced
works,
different,
but
so I
it
don't
still
know.
goes
What do
through
I
the
know?
village.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
We'll get
it's
back to
it's
one.
caused a lot of hate and discontent
Oh,
on
I'm
part.
sorry, I told you right away that if we didn't make it up, this is what we were told.
Well,
Okay,
we need to get back on track, so.
okay, so we will table number 19. Number 20, discussion and action on the PAC committee, use of EIN to apply for grants, applying for, start minor repairs, schedule PAC cleanup day, and what they're thinking that would consist of.
Okay. So, let's see here. The grants, we don't know exactly for sure what the grants are for sure. It'll probably be through the Nebraska Community Fund or through some of the Nebraska grants after you guys get your, what's it called? Quinn? Their, sorry.
I was being
When the
but I'm not sure
village
where we're
does
going.
their income study, I believe it was. There you go. So we'll be needing to be able to ask for grants through the village, obviously, just like we've all been doing. So we're just asking for permission to use your 501c3 or EIN, whichever they need, to apply for grants for the PAC. Okay. Let's see. The other things are we're working to figure out what the costs are going to be for a total HVAC replacement repair type thing, and we're working through that to come, and we'll bring you some numbers on that as soon as we can. And we went through the building with the building inspector and from Sydney, Marshall Hall, and basically what we need to get the building open is it needs to be cleaned, obviously, and we need the water turned back on, and we need hot water. Those are the main things, right? We do have winter coming, so we do have to have heat at some point. We got to be 63 degrees, 3 feet off the floor. So, do we need crazy heat? No, but we need to be able to keep the building from freezing and stuff like that. So, basically, we need permission to do small repairs. So, for instance, we may need to add a water heater upstairs, an electric water heater, instead of using the natural gas water heater, unless the plumber says, hey, we can use the natural gas heater. We're gonna bypass this giant storage tank and just use what we have and bypass that, I don't know, 300-400 gallon tank, right? We don't need that for locker rooms, stuff like that. Just bypass that for now. So we would need permission for a plumber, basically, and we would need permission to get a lock company in there and get the front door lock, the key fob system set back up and running so that we can utilize that once the building is open. And then once we have running water to the building, at that point, we technically could open the building per the Marshall Hall. We gotta have water, hot water and water. So I gotta get the plumbing figured out and get the water turned back on. And at that point, then we can basically go in the building. I guess those are the things we're asking for permission to do. We've kind of already got things lined up. As long as you guys are good with it, we will push forward with it. I do believe the PAC has enough funds to do these little projects that we want to do. We wouldn't be asking the village for anything like that to go ahead and get started on these new things, I guess. So.
You have enough money to get the lock on the front door taken care of then?
Yes.
Okay.
I mentioned this to you, Casey. I think my biggest concern is we need to get something set up that puts the utilities over to the PAC committee. Because the reason we closed it, besides the boiler going out, was the monthly expenses that was taken to do it.
Right.
So if we open it back up and the village is paying for those expenses, then we've done nothing
Right.
to correct the problem.
And we've actually talked about that, and I do believe we have enough funds. I mean, we don't know exactly what it's going to cost to run the building with the new systems that we put in, obviously, right?
Right.
So, going off of my personal and previous information, I do believe we have enough funds to run the building for a year at least, or get us through the winter for sure, with the funds that we have for PAC, right, Gwen?
We have
That's what we-
25,000. We plan to go out with a donor letter
Yes.
because we have people that are willing to donate, and we would like to put it, we're hopefully going to put in that letter that we're going to need help with the utility bills, right, to keep it going. We're also going to go after Virginia Smith and Buckley as soon as we can. We can do that through LCF. So there are grants that LCF can go through Nebraska Community Foundation to get, and that's where we're gonna start. We also, if we can use the EIN number, we're meeting with Melissa Norgard September 9th to discuss our other options of grants there. So our focus is on the heat and the water.
And I
And
think-
Casey has some less expensive ones for the heat, and that's where we're hoping to go to Buckley and say, hey, this is what it's gonna cost us in the long run, cause he has the ultimate heating system out here, you know, that's more expensive, but here's what we need to get started in the bathrooms and the gym to keep it where we need to be. So we're gonna go after them to help us with that, and then push on try to get other grants to help with that.
I guess my thing would be, and we kind of discussed this at the meeting, but is the village open to at least paying the water and sewer bills? I mean, that's something that really doesn't cost you guys much. That would be one thing that you could help us with, but we wouldn't be asking for much type of a thing. I mean, I know that's not a discussion for right now, but that's just kind of what we have in mind, where we would pay for natural gas and electricity. So, just kind of something to keep in the back of your mind.
When you say you're doing the water, are you gonna use the water that's in it except for redoing the bathroom, or are you gonna redo the water altogether?
The water lines,
Yeah.
or, we're gonna use existing water lines that are in place.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just thinking. 'cause-
So the water lines that I'm thinking you're talking about the boiler water lines.
Yes.
That are problems, yes. We are not using
Okay,
the
that's-
boiler system.
That was, 'cause
I'm
talking
guessing
about
that's where you were
winter
going with that, yeah.
and
Nope.
in the basement, I'm like, how are you gonna?
At
get
this
that?
point, we're not
Okay.
gonna address the boiler situation, we're gonna just leave it as is. Here's my plan is to replace the air conditioning units on top with, heat pump units and just utilize the heat pumps that we can. Obviously, heat pumps only go to a certain temperature before they don't work very efficiently. And at that point, we would have some sort of electric heat, small electric heat within those rooms if we were to get to that point. But in really, all we would have to do is put in a large heating unit, kind of similar to what they used to have in the community hall. I don't know, Al, if you remember that, but it would be similar to that. One unit would be enough to heat that entire gym and keep it acceptable for the winter season. And that would consist of one unit that we would mount. We would have to vent it outside somehow. I'm not sure details on that, but that's where we're headed with that. So it'd be one unit in the gym, and then probably a couple smaller units in the bathroom. All of which I do believe is very simple and not going to be extremely difficult to do.
So you'll move away from the water lines in the basement.
We will no longer use the boiler.
Well, all of the water lines are in the basement, that's.
You have to use the water lines in the basement because that's where the water comes into the building.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yes,
Won't
we
be
will.
heat down there then?
Yes, there will be heat down there.
Okay,
Yes.
that's why I'm asking.
The gym will be heated, and then we will probably just leave that door open and move some air down through there. So I don't see that being it's underground. So, yes, there's hoops to jump through, and we will figure them out as we go. I don't have all the answers right now. Got a long way to go. We gotta get in the building first. Would be nice. So.
Yep. But on this table, asking if you can use our EIN number for grants,
Yep.
permission to say, yep, start intel gathering, figure out what needs to be repaired, anything that's major comes to us, but like to go, right?
We just need permission to start fixing little things. I mean, I'm not gonna say we're gonna go put in new heat units. We're not gonna. If we can come up with the funds and stuff to put units on top. It's not gonna impact anything that you guys have. It's just replacing the condensers on top of the building.
I think the biggest thing is running to get funds.
Okay.
Opening that floodgate in those conversations of getting grants and what's out there.
We need the EIN.
Yep.
And I think this is also going to be the shot in the arm that this village needs right now, because this is gonna start some of the revitalization that this village has been craving and has needed for quite some time.
I mean, Alex and Casey have some awesome ideas. Why don't you share some of those, Casey? We talked even senior meals, maybe senior meals could be brought in and served up there. I mean, they've been running.
So there's been a lot of ideas. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I guess the bigger one that came to mind was an ag day. Go out and get vendors and basically say, hey, we're gonna have an ag day. Do you guys know of any ag day around this area? I would love to join one if there is, but there isn't one. The closest one is Scotts Bluff. Okay, so if we were to go in here and say, hey, 21st century, Titan Machinery, all of those types of people, hey, we're gonna do an ag day, right? And you can each have a booth within our gym area, and you get a 10x10 booth for, I don't know, I pay $700 to be Spring Expo. So, I mean, if you $500 per little spot for each person, I mean, you're talking pretty good money just for an afternoon of people walking through the building, going to different vendors, different companies, trying to, sell their products and stuff like that. So, I think that would be a great type of an event. And there's, I don't remember the other stuff off the top of my head, but
Well,
that was one of
Alex
them.
wanted to maybe put a batting cage in there and
He
get
did,
batting
yep.
baseball lessons or batting
Yep.
lessons.
and something to do with volleyball too.
Yeah, there was something.
I don't remember what that was, but there's been tons of ideas and tons of things that would work. We've run them all past Marshall Hall. We had a list. Said, Marshall, can we do all of these things? There's only a couple things, and he said, nah, it's kind of been in the rules a little bit. So, but for the most part, everything that we ask him, can we do this? He's like, yep, no problem. The gym capacity is 880 people. You can put a lot of people in that gym. You can do a lot of things. You can have concerts in there. You can have literally whatever you want in that gym, in that space. So the possibilities are endless. So
I think the biggest thing, you know, and even to Al's point, is financially, that's where EINs start getting grant money, because we don't have money right now. I don't even know what the money is, and that's what we're trying to gather here in a bit, right, before we can.
And that's what we're telling you. We feel that we have enough funds to get the building for sure through the winter and into next year. That's where we are at.
Okay, can I get a motion to allow the PAC committee to use the EIN to apply for grants, and start minor repairs, schedule the PAC?
You mean talk about that? Okay, so scheduling the PAC cleanup day. So once we have water running in the building and we can allow the public into the building, that's our main key, is to get water going. Then we can allow the public in, and then they can come in and help us. And I've already heard from a lot. They want to come in. We're gonna have a list and a schedule, and these 5 people are doing this. These 5 people are doing this. These 5 people are doing this. We're not gonna have a crazy free for all, but we're gonna have sections of, you clean this area, you clean this area, you do all the floors, you do the gym, blah, blah, blah. That's what our plan is for the cleanup day. And we will do that once we have the water running. That is what we're going for. We gotta have the water running, and then we can allow the public into the building. We will have our cleanup day.
And I think I provided that list, didn't I?
Yeah.
Did you get that list?
Yeah. Yeah, I have it. She emailed it to me, so, yeah, it's on
The cleanup.
Village
The
committee,
cleanup
yeah.
list.
Okay. I motion that we, encourage the PAC committee to use our EIN number, start with, minor repairs, and then, work towards getting water going for cleanup.
And when you get the grants, you'll have to bring them to us, because they have to be signed by us.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we, no, I'd feel better if we put the agreement in there about the
Utilities.
electric and the gas.
That
And
could be
I
added to
think we
the
could-
ordinance. I think that would be a place that it would go in the ordinance, because that would carry through. Right? I mean, the ordinance, we're planning on making some changes, and I think we had some of that stuff in the ordinance to begin with, when Alex submitted it, and it was all removed. So that is something I think that could go with the PAC committee, so that future PAC committees understand what the cost and the responsibilities are.
Well, I
Cause just
think-
talking about it with us today, I might not be here tomorrow, you don't know.
I think Al wants it done sooner than later, like,
If you wanna put into your minutes right now,
right.
that's part of the agreement, I guess I shouldn't speak for everybody, but
that's what we talked about from the very beginning, remember Glenn?
Yeah, and we did add that to the
We
ordinance.
agreed that we wouldn't be able to
We're not gonna be able to
keep
support
the,
financially.
Right.
keeping the, PAC going. That's the reason we let it go in
But
the
like,
first place.
what would water and stuff cost you guys?
I don't know, I
I
mean,
mean,
that's something that we could,
I don't think it's been
nobody's
expensed
ever
to its
tracked
accounts
it.
for probably 2 or 3 years. None of the utilities have been expensed into the village expense accounts. They're sitting out there as accounts receivables, I think.
It's a little electricity to run.
So, I'm not sure.
I guess,
I mean,
can we,
I don't know, maybe they have been. When I was looking at them. So no, I know, Alan, I guess that's why we added it to the ordinance. Some of that was added.
We did have all of that in the ordinance originally.
Yeah.
And it was denied.
about bills being,
There, we had stuff broken out, so, I mean, if we need to, go ahead, I mean, make that part of your motion.
I feel more
Yeah.
comfortable with,
so go ahead and make a motion on
you know, with
the,
that being added, that they get an account for the electric and the gas. And I guess we'll leave the water and sewer to the village. Cause we want you guys to succeed.
Yes.
It's not like we're trying to make you not, but
We understand that.
the whole point was
It's an expense for you
it just
guys.
wasn't working out financially
Sure.
for us to carry that burden at the time, so. So I'd be good with it if we add that into the motion.
Okay, so can I get a motion to allow the PAC committee to use the EIN to apply for grants, and start minor repairs and work towards scheduling a PAC cleanup day once the water is restored, and to set up an account with the village for their,
The village would have to set up the account for the,
Now, the PAC committee would
Oh,
be
that's
responsible
the
correct.
PAC,
for
the PAC committee would be
those.
responsible for the heating and electricity.
the electrical and gas.
I think the bills will probably still have to come to the village.
But I mean,
Yeah.
the funds.
Cause I don't think they'll let us have it
Yeah.
in our
The
account.
funds
But
pay
totally
pay
understand.
for the electrical gas. Okay, can I get that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Ken makes that motion, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Jamie second.
Eichmann,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Lungi,
Yes.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Kepler.
Yes.
So just to be clear, are we good to go in? Do we have a set of keys that we
Yeah.
can?
I'll get, I got the keys, I'll get you one.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, discussion and possible action on the consultant agreement with the county municipal consulting services LLC of Omaha, Nebraska to serve as the village of Lodgepole on an interim basis as the village clerk / treasurer. This paperwork is in the packet number 21.
For 60, is it 60 days?
Hmm?
Is it 60 days?
He's committed to 60 days because his schedule is kind of, after that. And he did tell me that he would, train somebody if we're done hired. He will do the FOIA request for us. He will also do, the letter we got from Julie that is in here somewhere, I don't know where mine's at. He will work towards with her to make sure all of that is done. He'll do it all. And he'll also work with us, cause his schedule, he did, it's in here, the contract, he broke it all down, his schedule. He will also give us cause he speaks at the League of Municipalities, he's a presenter. He will speak to us as a board and to the public on what the board's responsibilities are as far as our jobs are, our job to the public, our jobs to all of that. He says he will educate us on how that works. So that's something else he would agree to do for us. I know, speaking to him and talking to him, he was contacted by the village about a year ago, but he was currently working with another village and, was expecting, he had shoulder surgery, so he couldn't take on another commitment. And he said at that time we had 3 municipalities calling within 6 days. So apparently this is a common theme. So, but he gave you the flyer also on his, but he's well educated. He also said that he could help the PAC committee, out, on his time to try to find more, financing. Cause he, is well versed in this also. He got 1.3 million in grants and matching funds raised for clients. So, yes. is scoring our WHF grant application in 2023 for $750,000 grant. At this point, I don't know how we are going to get everything done that we need to get done. Julie Peaks did say, I'll find the letter. We need, let's see, the budget needs to be scheduled, which we do have our budget workshop scheduled for September 9th. But we do have to get our budget to the auditor by September 30th. If we do not, we will not receive our property tax for next year at all. Then we also have our audit, the 2023-2024 needs to be completed. She was working with Cindy, but there are still some things that need to be done. If that does not get done by October 31st, we will lose our highway funds altogether. And then Cindy was working very hard to get this year's audit turned in on time, and we need to work on that. The other thing Julie told me was, our time frame is very short to get these two general ledgers in a condition to submit to the reports to the state auditor. I would recommend that you locate a person with expertise in the village budget and accounting that you can get, that can get you these reports completed and balanced in the next few weeks. But she also told me that she does not feel that it is in our best interest to have a number of people in and out of our system, because it already created a mess with the system. And no disrespect to Gwen, but she says she's afraid that our G-Works is such a mess that it would take so much time and effort that it's not worth your time. She says that it literally, she says she just doesn't feel it's worth.
Well, I would like to have that conversation with Julie if I may.
Yeah, she put it in this letter.
I would like to have that conversation with Julie.
Yeah, but, she thinks it would be more productive to finish the year out with our current file and then start fresh with a new one, not getting rid of our old one, but starting a new one. Whether we go with G-Works or another financial company, but we can even stick with G-Works and just start a new file and start fresh with the new year so that we get our numbers straight, because she said it is just a disaster.
Hey Susan, I'm sorry, is this, are we talking about still the Canty or the next agenda item? Is this still the Canty discussion?
Yeah, but I'm just meaning, he's willing to help us, he's also willing to set up the new file if we start over with the new year or with another, whatever program we use, he's willing to start October fresh for us too.
Okay, so he's not looking at fixing anything, he just wants to go through.
Yes. Cause when I spoke to Julie about it, she says, there's just, the current G-Works that we have is such a mess. She says she just, it's not worth the headache for somebody and the time, because she said it's going to take so much time to fix it.
She was saying he would fix it.
No, he's not gonna.
He's not fixing it.
No,
He's
he
gonna
will,
go
He's
he
gonna
will,
start over.
he will
Yeah.
come in and do,
Anybody would do that.
Right.
he will come in and do the job and use the system we have, but he will also, as of October 1st, start a new file, whether it be with G-Works or with a different company.
But doesn't she need, I mean, did I read that wrong, or like, doesn't she need
She'll-
somebody still
she'll-
clean up to get at
Well,
least
she'll
an
give him,
accurate
he will
budget?
give her what she needs, and she'll work with him to get that. But starting October 1st, just start a new file so that we have a clean,
Fair, but we need to go a little bit retroactively to at least have somewhat
Yes,
accurate
and-
information to give her,
yes,
and then that's the
and
goal,
we
yeah.
will have to pull it out of there, but we can't use the reports because the reports don't exist. You can't pull a report,
Yeah.
and get accurate numbers. And
So-
that's why the idea of starting with a new file, I industrial call or new, that way next year, or starting October, the new fiscal year, we can actually get the correct report.
Basically, he's going to get us from here through fiscal year end. So we don't lose any property tax funds or highway funds.
Yep.
And we can submit the reports we need to the state.
Yeah, and train somebody if we get somebody within 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will he not do his service if we don't start things like?
No, he'll still do it.
Okay, so what would it hurt to have this conversation with the CPA on this situation that Lynn just brought up?
With, trying to clean up the old jeweler.
Right.
Well, she could, but Julie just said,
I'd like to hear that conversation.
well, I mean, she put it in this letter, that's why she put it in that letter.
I know.
And so tell me more about, so what are the total hours that this guy has? He seems very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Total hours and how much will this be?
There's where the kickers
Yep.
come
Yeah,
in.
this is.
That's, yep.
this is expensive.
And I thought, didn't you have an email on that of his overall?
Yeah, I thought it.
Is that in here?
Yes.
His rate is $125 an hour.
So
So
to
if
do
you take
this,
that
it was
times,
27,000, what was
Yeah.
his overall
and that
cost?
he
It was this.
require
But he,
per diem.
Is that in the thing?
I thought it was, but apparently it's not.
So-
Now it went down in cost because we did start as of, November 3rd, so it went down a little bit.
So his original estimation
Was that,
was $26,912 for helping us for how long?
2 months.
2 months.
Yeah, now because we're not starting until September 10th, it's $24,005.
There's
There's no way.
there's no budget for that. I
But you
don't
have to
see how
remember,
we come up with that.
you're not
figure.
paying a clerk during that time.
Even if you pay the clerk during that time, they're not getting
They're
$125 an hour. At $20 an hour, we could afford a clerk to do. I'm not saying that we don't need some help, but I just, that figure doesn't even make sense.
I
There's
have-
gotta be another solution to the problem, so.
I have
That's just
called
my-
3 clerks, no, actually 5. I've called, the CPA, 2 CPAs. Nobody, I mean, and Julie suggests not having people in the system.
So let's look at 21, possible action for this consultant. Can we determine that consultant, yes or no? 22, now possible action, volunteer, are there people that can help us through this? Yes, I know that Julie said don't want a lot of people, but like, I think we need to make the decision that this, in my opinion, isn't even feasible. Number 22, looking at people who have been in it, to limp us through with Julie to get our budget that is somewhat where we have a gauge to then be able to know who we can hire, how we can make these decisions. Can we even help with the PAC committee? Can we keep the lights on? Like, help limp us through. That's not $25,000.
Can I say something? So, I was in the system between Katie and Tanya and Linda. I have not been in the system since Linda and Tanya were hired. I only helped with the audit by taking home the work and doing it on Excel spreadsheets and giving it back to the clerk. And then she would send me the reports so that I could balance to the trial balance and make sure the bank accounts equal the trial balances. So, as far as a lot of people in the system, it was Linda and Tanya until Cindy was hired. So then Cindy had access to it. And before that, it was Katie. And even when Katie was working, when I did the audit for that year, I went up, I did the entries, and I went up and Katie made the entries in the system so that I could show her what needed to be done. So I was in the system when we had that gap between Katie and we had to do utility billing, we had to do payroll, pay the claims. That's when I was in the system, and Brenda actually helped me with utility billing. We did it together, and I think Glenda helped with that. And then G-Works helped me through payroll. So I don't know, yes, you've had 4 clerks now, I guess, in the system, and myself, between the clerks. There's been a lot of things that I don't know. As I was looking at when Cindy would send me the report, the trial balances and that information, I know the closing entries, so 21, 22 closing entries, I'm not sure they ever were made. I did request that before we did when I was doing the last audit, I noticed the closing entries hadn't been made. Then Cindy had sent me the closing entries that they wanted for 22, 23, and there were only 3, and there was no documentation with those. That's not right. RJ Myers should have supplied more. And when I looked at those closing entries, I don't know what they would even pertain to. I don't know if the system has been being closed out each year to close our fiscal year, because when we did the one audit, it looked like it did get closed out, and there were entries thrown in there that were closing entries that probably shouldn't have been there. So I realize that there is a lot going on in that system, and like I said earlier, it's gonna take taking one, maybe the smallest checking account we have, and seeing where you get it.
One thing where I'm going with this, I know when you volunteered to come in and work on the system, right? And I think you said that you could possibly fix it. But now you're hearing what you just said.
Well, I
having
know there's a lot of
conversation.
difference. I mean, it's balancing an account.
This discussion you're asking for with the CPA, you may learn something and say,
Yes,
don't
I may.
get
Be like, no,
clean
Yes.
slate.
just kidding.
Clean
I
slate,
may.
we'll do that.
Because I did work very closely with Julie when we did the 21, 22.
Yep.
And then I was working with her when we were working on the 22, 23 audit until I passed it. Because in June, my audit starts for Kelly Bean. I have to start work. So I passed that on to Tanya and Julie in June of that year. So I didn't get to finish that audit out, but yeah, it might be. But I would like to talk to Julie and have those conversations. Because I know they won't take us on. I mean, I had asked before we hired Linda and Tanya if we could move the accounting out of the village over to Rounders, and at that point they would take it. But then after that, I asked again, and I was told no, because we were too much of a problem.
I have a small question. What is your time frame for is it September 30th? How much money do you all stand to lose if you don't get this done by September 30th? Is that a substantial amount?
It's a great question.
That's a pretty substantial amount
So
from the
is your-
property taxes, right? If we don't get this completed by
Is your,
September 30th?
is your current 23, 24 audit done? Because your road and streets, you lose it until you get your audit done.
Actually,
But if you don't have I don't even know what your audit they're even on. If you don't have the audit, not this year's, but the previous year's audit done by the date Susan mentioned, then you probably won't get that street money for that previous year. They would still come back for the next year, but
we lose last year's money if we don't.
if you don't, but Julie's working on that.
But she's missing a few things and she needs them.
So I'm wondering, I guess you have information about him. Does he do G-Works?
He said as long as he has a help system or a help desk, he can make it work. He knows that, cause I had to send him a list of things, and those were one of the questions. He said, what program do you use to create utilities? What program do you use for payroll? Is there a support system or customer support available for it? What program do you use for general accounting? Same question. Who do you use for operating your water and waste and normal hours? Those are the same. So
And I'm more than happy to help in any capacity that I can. Because guys, I live here, this is my village, I've been concerned about the finances for many years now. If anybody's come to meetings for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been voicing how concerned I am about, Jerry can attest to that. I've been concerned about the village. I'm concerned about the finances, and I'm willing to do it for free. I'm willing to help. If it's, you can bring him in and I can help him in any capacity, I would be open to doing that. But I think, yes, you can start going forward, but how do you know you have a general fund and it's split between 4 funds? How do you actually know what money is sitting in those 4 funds? You have a bank account, but you don't know what should be allocated to each one of those funds. And you have to know that. And starting from here going forward, still isn't gonna tell you where that money was supposed to be when it was back here. Because the last trial balance I got, and I realized Cindy told me it was incorrect, your general fund showed $399,000 in the hole. So where are you going to, how are you gonna take this new money going forward and say, oh, we're giving this much to water, we're giving this much to sewer, we're giving this much to the general fund? How are you gonna figure that unless you at some point clean this up back here?
Well, and, I mean, Julie just said, and
So is she just throwing numbers in there to get the funds to where she thinks they should be? I mean, I would really like to have that conversation with her, and maybe that's a conversation all of you should be having.
I wanna be in that conversation too.
I mean, I figure if he can really help us set things straight as far as all of this, and Julie just figured that the G-Works is such a mess that it might take a long time and a lot of energy to fix, but maybe together that's the way to go about it. I don't know, I just know that, as you well know, you've spent 4 years doing this too. It's a mess and a disaster.
So I would say 2020, 21, 22, we balanced to the auditor's numbers. Every trial balance account that they audited, I took it and we matched to it. Then we changed programs, so they went live in March with all the other modules in G-Works, and at that point, nothing had been put in from October to March, and when we hired the new clerks, that was supposed to be their priority, and it didn't happen. So then we were in January of the next year, and none of this has been done, so I literally had to take checking accounts, the general ledger accounts, and the invoices, and go through one by one and match up what had been paid, what hadn't, what funds has it been paid in, and match it all up. So that was our 22-23 audit, and like I said, I passed it off. I had all the little accounts balanced. They matched the trial balance. But the general fund still was off some, and we Julie and I sort of understood where that was, but then I don't know what happened with that audit. And then when I actually saw what the auditors gave us, I know I provided questions to them, because that audit, they had some things in there that were not right.
I just know we have a big problem. We're not gonna get any further at the rate we're going.
What's wrong with, we're having a conversation, one or two of us on that call as well, get her started, have a look. And if she may see something and fix something and say, oh, we have these funds, or at least when you think you can get us to those 2 milestones.
For what, 2 milestones?
The property tax and the funding.
So your property tax, okay, so explain to me again, Susan, what has to
You gotta
happen.
have the budget.
For your taxes,
What are they saying has to
you're
be
gonna
done?
have.
You have to have your budget hearing. So Julie will do a budget hearing, and it's just guesstimate numbers, because she's done that for the last 2 or 3 years.
Well, they've never had an audit, so you can't really
Right.
do a budget, so.
She's just gonna guesstimate, and I don't even know what she's gonna guesstimate on now because I'm hearing that maybe your 23-24 audit isn't in a close spot. But our 21, neither of our last, so 21-22, we didn't have it done in time for the budget, but we had good enough, we had some numbers that we could do it. Then the next year, she took what numbers we had. You can get a budget.
She's basically gonna run our budget off of exactly what we did last year, because she has no numbers.
But it's not.
but it's not right.
Here's the other
It's
thing,
not right.
so, yeah, just out of curiosity, in the past 3 years, when we didn't even have an audit to build an accurate budget off of, were we on budget last year?
Who
It hasn't
knows,
been
because
tracked.
I
Were we
guess,
on-
It hasn't been
So-
entered in like it should.
So this is a box check, it's really.
so we've been asking,
Before
I would say
this,
we've been
ordinance.
asking for a budget for many years. And the closest I could create my own budget, because I would just take Julie's budget and I would plop it in an Excel spreadsheet. And then I would keep track of our expenses as we were going along, so I sorta knew. But the budget's never, you can't count on having that budget either. I mean, you put some numbers out there, but you might not have them. Because last year when I sat through the budget, the budget information with Julie and them, so some of the electrical is going away, so you could take the money that was sitting in the electric fund, but I don't know if you have any more bills or whatever you'd want to, and you could move that to the general fund to start covering some of that expense that's sitting there. But it's, some of the funds were already showing they were in the hole, so how do you plan a budget for a, like the water or the sewer when it's already running in the hole? And part of that is because the rates hadn't been checked in so many years and updated, that when we had a rate study in, the one we were so far behind, they told us to implement it in 3 years, the increase, because it would be such an increase. We weren't, I don't know how many years that those funds weren't even paying their expenses. I don't know that. I would say when they came in and did the study, we found out they weren't. And I questioned the electric most of the time because I kept being told the electric was our moneymaker, and when the auditor tells me on an audit that it was 50,000 in the hole, that's not a moneymaker to me. So I don't know how long it had been since the electric study had been done either. But those are some of the things that have been impacting us. Because I kept hoping, oh, we got a rate study. Now at least we'll be charging what we need to get the bills paid, cover the expenses. And I probably shared too much information, sorry.
No, that's.
At this point in
we
time,
need to
I
know
don't think
that.
there is too much information.
But it's concerned me for a long time. And I raised a flag a long time ago when I started working on the audit. And I started, because you guys sitting in this position, I will tell you, even having my accounting background and being an accountant for I don't know how many years, when I would get a treasurer's report and I get a bank statement, that's not telling me where that money actually is. Until I started digging in and seeing where the money actually was and understanding what was going on and working on these audits and saying, hey, this account over here is showing a negative balance. So these accounts over here are funding this.
We need to know where every dime that comes in goes out.
You do. And
Yeah,
right
which
now, you
buckets?
don't have,
Yeah.
not-
And the
right
other-
now, there's not a clue, and that's not, it's not Cindy's fault, it's not, it's been happening through the years.
Well,
And that is going to be a huge barrier. I mean, like, think of when Cindy started.
Yes,
Now think of now we're trying to fill that spot again.
yeah.
Like, who would?
and that's
We have a
what's
little bit
happened,
more
and-
information because of my spreadsheet that I created,
Which
because
is
I
great,
created the
yes.
same,
So,
similar
yeah.
spreadsheet, so we have a little bit of
We have a little
information.
bit, right? But it's like how.
And I was
mean, that's
concerned
a
when they
barrier.
were hiring Cindy, I spoke at a board meeting and said, you can't keep dropping people in
Right.
here and not allowing somebody to work with them and train them.
Absolutely.
No, it doesn't set them up to succeed.
No, it sets
And
them
if they
up to
don't
fail.
succeed, we don't, and the village doesn't.
On top of that, we're sitting there doing a revolving door,
Yeah.
Right.
because it's just constantly there, I mean, we've been through 5 works
That has to
in
stop.
less than 5 years.
Been through, well, Rita
Can you think
retired,
about that? Wonder why?
Katie resigned, then we hired Linda and Tanya were supposed to split it. Because what we were finding is what our hope was, our intent was, they would each work part-time, but both learn both roles, so that if somebody had to be gone, you had a backup. It failed miserably.
Yeah,
It
we
did
need
not happen.
commitment.
We ended up, they asked for more time, we gave them more time, we gave them several more hours. They told us they needed training on G-Works, we gave them more time to do that. I actually contacted G-Works, you can call them. I called and talked to the head up in G-Works and asked them about G-Works and how it worked It basically 99%